Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if and Naruto, Sasuke, and the Biju have sealed the Jubi inside Naruto Part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for Part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. Naruto awoke slowly, feeling like hell from all the stress put on his body. He could tell that the sealing had worked. He could feel a huge amount of power that had not been there before. What the hell happened? Naruto took a moment to collect himself, then he started to look around. Strange, he somehow ended up in a forest. Was the power released so great that it blew him away from the battlefield? Damn, that hurt like a son of a bitch. Glad it's over though. If this doesn't make me Hokage, then nothing will, he said as he got up slowly. Since he needed answers, he would visit his furry friend. Walking down the corridor that was in his mindscape, he finally came to the spot where the great Kyuubi resided. Kurama, what happened when I was knocked out? I don't know, brat. I'm just as clueless as you right now, replied the great beast. Naruto looked up at his partner, same red eyes, orange-reddish fur, and 10 tails swaying behind him slowly. Wait, 10 tails? Kurama! What's with the extra tail? Yelled Naruto. At this, Kurama grinned almost evilly. Looks like I absorbed the Jubi. Now it looks like I really am the most powerful being in existence. Bwahahaha. Naruto just looked at his partner and sweat dropped. That's great, Kurama, but where are we? What happened to everyone? I can't even sense any chakra, Naruto said. Kurama stopped laughing. That is strange, I can't sense any chakra either. I don't know what to tell you, but I have really great news for you. This certainly gained Naruto's interest. Yeah. What is it? Kurama smirked, looked down. Naruto raised an eyebrow, but did as he commanded and looked down into the sewer water and promptly became shocked at what he saw. His once sun-kissed blonde hair had now become a now snow-white color with a gray sort of tint to it. What the fuck? He said while moving his hair left to right, inspecting it in the water. Kurama just laughed. Kid, I'm the new Jubi, and you're my host, which means you get some new traits. Besides your hair, you also have the Rinnegan. Naruto was dumbfounded. The Rinnegan, the most powerful dojutsu in the world. Under his command, it was really surprising, but it looks like Kurama wasn't done yet. Also, I have no idea what happened, but it seems you really have surpassed my father. You're immortal. Now that really got to him. Him? Immortal? It seemed so impossible, so inconceivable. For minutes, he just looked into the water thinking. This meant that he couldn't die by aging. Maybe he could be killed. Would this mean all his friends would die, where he would just continue to live a meaningless existence? Sure, he had Kurama, but he just didn't think life would be worth it without his friends. He sighed. He would figure it out later. He needed to get back to the others first. I guess that's good, but I need to find the guys. I'll talk to you later, he said, throwing a wave over his shoulder. He came back to the real world and started to find his way out of the forest. As he emerged from the forest, he openly gaped at what was before him. Huge buildings as far as the eye could see, cars flying down the street, people in business suits, technology all over the place. Naruto couldn't help but gasp. Where the hell was he? Wherever he was, he could say he wasn't in the elemental nations anymore. What in the name of the six paths? Kurama said from inside his head. It seems like we're in a different world, huh? Kurama chuckled weakly. Naruto quickly ducked back into forest behind a tree. A different world? What do you mean? It isn't totally impossible that all the power released created a rip through space and we traveled through it. Okay, but how do we get back? Naruto yelled inside his mind. I don't think that's possible, Kurama said lowly. Naruto's heart stopped for a minute. Surely there has to be a way back. He still had to be Hokage. He still had friends to see. He still had to talk to a certain blue-haired girl. There were so many things to do. Kurama, stop lying. There has to be something, anything. He basically begged the almighty creature. Kurama remained silent for a while. In all my years of living, I have never been in any situation close to this. The only way to go back to our dimension is to seal something with equal power to the Jubi. It can't be me, since if I were to leave your body, you would probably die. Even though you're immortal right now, I'm the one giving you immortality. Even if we can find a beast in this dimension that is as strong the Jubi, we don't know if he'll just accept being sealed. Unless he is evil, we can't just take away something's freedom. If by an off chance we do find a creature that fits, the possibility to land in our dimension is 1 to infinity, he said. So basically he was fucked. The Jubi was a one-of-a-kind creature. Who knows if he could travel through all these dimensions and find a creature even with half of its power. Kurama was also right in saying that we couldn't just lock the something or someone up without it agreeing. He would not do that just for his own desires. The chance to seal it too would be decreased since Sasuke wasn't here either. Even if by some miracle they caught this thing, what was the chance he would end up in the elemental nations? He could be doing this cycle for millions of years and not come close. Damn it! He couldn't help it. Naruto slumped down to the ground with his back against the tree and started crying. He would never be Hokage. All his work, the blood, sweat, and tears put into his training wasted. His lifelong dream out of reach, the one thing he had been striving for since he was 5. Gone. Maybe he could deal with the loss of his position, but his friends? No, he couldn't live without his friends, the ones who he had made such personal connections with. Even though they teased him a lot when they were young, they still accepted him when no one else had. He had something to fight for, something to protect, something that kept him falling into a pit of loneliness. Swanda, his surrogate mother, Sakura, his first crush and great teammate, Sasuke, his brother in all but blood. His other older brother Kakashi, who was probably one funniest, most pervy, and most badass people he ever met. Gone. Hinata, the girl who sacrificed her life to protect him from a person who was capable of leveling villages with a single attack in the name of love. All Naruto had wanted as a kid was to love and be loved, but it never happened because everyone saw him as a demon. But this girl, even when they were young, always looked at his best qualities. Even though he was the village pariah, she did it all the while seeing him fawn over Sakura, and even through all the years never stopped until the point where she was basically trading her life for his in the battle against pain. By the time he had come to terms with her confession, the war was about to begin. He was hoping by its end he could ask Hinata on a date, and saw how things went, but now his chance for love, for the happiness he had always wanted. Gone. His heart couldn't take it. Naruto, snap out of this. I know this is hard and that you'll miss everyone, but you can't let this destroy you. Everyone back at home is praising you right now for what you did. Without you there would be no elemental nations. I might not know much about friendship, but I know that all the friends you had would want you to live your life happy. This is new chance, Naruto. A new life and new adventure. And no matter what hardships you face or whatever problems you come across, I'll always be there for you, Naruto, you're my friend. Kurama yelled with finality. Naruto raised his head up and stared in shock at Kurama's deceleration. Slowly a grin made its way onto his face. Kurama was right. This was a whole new adventure, and Uzumaki Naruto always wanted adventure. He also knew that if he ever needed someone to rely on, he always has Kurama. You're right, Kurama, I'll honor my friends and live life to the fullest, and we're going to be so badass the world is going to recognize how amazing we are. He yelled into the sky. Kurama grinned. Who knows what this world had to offer? Shadow Clone Jutsu, yelled Naruto. After 2 seconds a group of Narutos emerged. Alright guys, split up and find out more about this world. He yelled loudly. Yes, boss. They all shot off in different directions. He sighed and turned around time to see what this world had to offer. He emerged from the shrubbery once again and out onto the sidewalk where people were walking. He got some weird looks because he looked like he just walked out of a war zone, which he did. As we looked to skyscrapers towering above, he couldn't help but smile. This was going to be so cool. As he was standing, a random Japanese man bumped into him. Watch it, you stupid! Yelled the man. Naruto sighed. Maybe it was going to be a little difficult. 1 year later. Naruto had learned a lot about this world. It was beyond crazy. The humans here were so weak, and 5-year-old clan member with barely any training could take them down. While the humans were not really strong, they were extremely intelligent. The technology here probably wouldn't arrive in the elemental nations for hundreds, maybe thousands of years. Phones, cars, trains, and so much more. It was a lot to take in, but to indulge in anything one needed money, and unfortunately they didn't take his world's currency. This is where he discovered another problem. He needed to be citizen to get a job. Without any papers you were a criminal in the country. It wasn't really hard, even though his aptitude for genjutsu was academic level. That's all he needed to get a passport, and such for his person. Money wasn't really a problem when you had clones working multiple minimum paying jobs at different locations and a new book series called Tales of a Gusty Ninja. He was living quite comfortably. He however had to learn multiple things like how to use this technology, and how to drive cars and things like that. It was a good thing he had shadow clones, really. He also did train fairly hard. Kurama was trying to help him gain control over his Rinnegan, and since he has ever-element sub-elements like wood style too. Unfortunately, since Hashirama was the one type of style Kurama had seen, he couldn't really learn a lot of the other ones without a lot of difficulty. He also managed to recreate his dad's Hirishin too. He was no seal master, but Jiraiya did teach him a thing or two about sealing. Kurama was big help since he was trapped inside his mom. He basically was the second most person to see it in action. And again really got to love the shadow clones. For the most part, Naruto had tried to stay on the down low, not releasing a lot of power unless he had to. He did however feel weird when he came in contact with certain people. It wasn't chakra, but he still got a weird feeling among certain people. Another thing he learned was that if you were 18 or younger you had to go to school. Kami kill him now. He hated school. Iruka's lesson had been so boring during his days at the academy, but what was worse it that you couldn't even skip out on it or else it would be breaking the law. He had found that out the hard way when a police officer demanded Naruto to take him to his school, but since he didn't really have one he had to give the officer the slip. So here he was in front of a school called Ko Academy. He had managed to get into it with his impressive, fake, scores from his other schools. The place up until this year was all girls and had recently become co-ed. He just went to it since it was the closest school there was to his apartment. As he stood in front of the school, he couldn't help but be a little excited. He wondered what it would be like and how many new friends he could make. As he walked through the door, everybody looked his way. The girls blushed lightly while the boys stared on in jealously, especially a group of 3 boys mumbling something like another pretty boy or something like that. But in all honesty, they had the right to. Naruto had a very slim-looking body, which you could tell there was plenty of muscle underneath those clothes. His eyes were the deepest ocean blue that somehow you could get lost in. His hair was rare. There were not really any people with silver hair. In fact, in all of Japan, Naruto has never found one. But still they contrasted nicely with his eyes, and the headband was now gone too, making his hair extend a little above his forehead, just making him the center of attention. Finally, to top it all off, he had the whisker marks. Every person couldn't help but wonder how he got those. Even though some might think it weird, the girls thought it make him look even cuter. As he walked down the hall, he couldn't help but overhear some conversation. Who is he? Another pretty boy here to take all the girls? He looks hot. He kind of has the same hair as Kaneko-chan. Some girls were whispering among themselves, and he gave them his famous Naruto grin, making the girls blush and giggle lightly. He looked on confused before turning and walking to his homeroom class. As he walked into the class, everybody looked his way once again. Class, we have a new transfer student, Uzumaki-kun. Why don't you introduce yourself? The teacher said. Hello, my name is Uzumaki Naruto, and I look forward to being friends with all of you, he said, giving them his most dazzling smile. The class seems to smile at his friendly attitude as well. That's great, Uzumaki-kun. Why don't you take a seat behind Gremri-chan? The sensei said. Naruto did as he was told and took a seat behind a girl with beautiful crimson hair. He got that feeling he did wherever he came across certain individuals, so he had to be careful around her. Hello, my name is Rias Gremri, Naruto-san, she said politely. Please call me Naruto, I don't like the honorifics. Hope we can get along, he said, shaking her hand. She smiled a little. Yes, I hope so too, she said. The bell rang, and the following hour was probably the most boring Naruto had experienced in his life. Yay, school. School had been going well for Naruto. He didn't really like classes like math because to him it was just a bunch of unimportant numbers, but other things surprisingly intrigued him, like science and history. This world had a lot of good history, including wars and other significant events that really got him interested. But the rest of his classes were beyond boring. He couldn't believe that the people of this world actually survived going to school till they were 18. Most of time Naruto just slept in these classes, but he manages to actually get very good scores. It wasn't hard for him. Since he was a shinobi, he had long ago been taught how to absorb information, hearing it only once. Even though he was basically asleep, he could catch a lot of information without too much difficulty. He also had karma if anything managed to slip past him. While his school grades were probably top of the class, his main focus was trying to solve his first puzzle in this new world. There was a lot of weird feelings here. The power that radiated off certain individuals felt evil and sinister, yet whenever he gauged their emotions he couldn't find a hint of anger or malice within them. Rias Gremri, a girl with beautiful crimson-red hair that reminded him of his deceased mother, bluish-greenish eyes that he had to admit looked pretty, and had such a voluptuous figure that the men couldn't help but stare at her, and finally one of the great Oni-samas of Ko Academy. Akino Himejima, the other great Oni-sama of Ko. She probably has a better body than her best friend Rias. She had long black hair that reached past her but tied up in an orange ribbon. Orange! Sexy violet eyes that somehow seemed just the opposite and glittered with innocence. To him, she was probably the most attractive girl in the academy, with a bust size that was the same as Grandma Tsunade's. Kiba, the prince of Ko, a man with short blonde hair a shade lighter than what his used to be. Gray eyes that didn't look dull at all. The girls were infatuated with him. Wherever he went, girls would follow. He had a pretty nice and kind personality, just like himself, but Naruto was a little more easily excited, but nevertheless the girls were starting to give Naruto quite some attention too. Kaneko Tuju, a small petite-looking girl whom he was pretty sure a first-year student here. She had been named the school's mascot for some reason. She had snow-white hair that was uneven in some places but still looked good. She also had hazel eyes that reminded him of a cat and a black cat clip in her hair. Although she didn't look as sexy as Rias and Akino, she still made up for it with her cuteness. Sona Shirtori, the student council president, she had short black hair and captivating violet eyes also, but unlike Akino, she didn't have the body to match up or the long hair that stunned the boys at school. She was a really intelligent individual, competing with him for top spot in class, even though he basically had a cheat sheet to every quiz or test. He found other people that felt strange too, like the student council. but as far as he could tell they weren't that important. These people all had some sort of supernatural feel to them. He couldn't tell what they were though. He did know that these people basically ruled the school next to the teachers. Rias, who was the president of the ORC, and the student council president Sona were very close to each other, which could mean that they were working together. He didn't know what was going on, he just knew that these people were the hierarchy of the school and could possibly be trying to do some bad things. He kept an eye on them when he could, but he couldn't find any signs that what they were doing was bad. The most he overheard was them talking about was contracts and such. Well, whatever it was, Naruto was sure he could handle it. He did take down the Jubi after all. He did, however, find Kaneko staring at him strangely from time to time. It kind of made him anxious. There was also one other individual that interested him more than all the others, was Issei Hayato. Probably one of the biggest perverts Naruto had ever met. He thought that Issei was probably the reincarnation of Jiraiya, but if possible he was more prevented than Jiraiya himself. While Jiraiya would mostly try to conceal his love of breasts, and as Issei openly yelled it from the rooftops. He never really took things seriously, and somehow his line of thinking probably couldn't go for 5 minutes without thinking about something perverted. Naruto didn't really hold any dislike for Issei. In fact, he thought most of the things that he did were highly amusing, like getting his ass handed to him by the kendo club. Putting Issei's perviness aside, what really captured his attention was the powerful force he could feel inside Issei. Although Issei was fairly weak on the outside, there was something or someone deep inside him that was extremely powerful. Was Issei a Jinchuriki like him? He didn't really know what to think, but one thing is for sure, he would definitely get to the bottom of this mess. Line break. The whole occult research club and student council were gathered in the student council meeting room after school. "Hello Sona, I trust everything is going well," greeted Rias with a smile. Sona fixed her glasses. "There seems to be some minor disturbances in the area. We suspect they might be fallen angels, but we don't really know. But aside from that, yes, we're doing very well in dealing out contracts to people." Rias nodded. "That's good, we are doing well also, and we're still looking out for the right time to recruit Issei." "You're quite eager to get him to be your pawn still, huh? Could it be for something special?" questioned Sona, crossing her legs. Rias glared hard at Sona. "Don't get smart with me, Sona, you know now more than ever that I need peerage members," she said. Sona hummed. "I suppose you do. Maybe this commotion with the fallen angels could be what you're looking for to get your chance." Sona must. "Well, if that's all, we should be going." Rias was about to get up and walk out until a girl with white hair spoke up back. "Oh, I have some news you guys may want to be aware of," said Kaneko in a monotone voice. Rias sat back down and glanced at her rook. "Sure, tell us, Kaneko-chan." Kaneko nodded. "I have been observing Uzumaki Naruto," she said. Rias raised an eyebrow. "The new transfer student that's jeopardizing Sona's spot as number 1 in the junior class," she said with a smirk, earning a look from said girl. "Yes, I've found out something strange about him." This piqued her curiosity. "Alright, tell us, Kaneko-chan." Kaneko once again nodded. "He can use chakra," she said bluntly. Despite the careless tone in her statement, everyone's eyes went wide. A human used chakra? That was unheard of. The only species that could use it were species under the Yukai faction, so a human possessing such a thing was absolutely shocking. "Are you sure? Is that even possible?" she asked. "Yes, there was no mistake, it was chakra. I also found out he could use senjutsu," she said through gritted teeth. If they weren't surprised then, now they most definitely were. Senjutsu could only be used by Kaneko's species and Monkey Kings. How could a human use senjutsu, let alone chakra? Senjutsu has the tendency to drive people insane and corrupt them, and if that was the case, then they would have to be extremely cautious around Naruto. On the other hand, though, if Naruto did have control over senjutsu, he would be a strong addition to her peerage and give her chance of winning against Riser a huge boost. "That is a surprise. I actually had my eye on Uzumaki for some time," Sona stated. "Oh, you have? And tell me, why is that?" Rias questioned. "I had no idea that he could use chakra or senjutsu, but he had muscles that no human being could ever achieve. His speed and agility are probably way above that of a professional athlete. It was as if he could be some sort of superhuman solider. He looked like a good candidate to add to my peerage," she replied. "Yes, he does seem he is a very special candidate," she said with a thoughtful expression. Sona stared at her. "Rias, you already have Issei. If anything, Naruto should be a part of my peerage," she told her sternly. Rias smirked. "You owed me Issei as a payment from a favor, but Naruto is up for grabs," she stated. Don't get her wrong, she did think of Sona as her friend, but she still wanted the best pieces she could get her hands on, and while Sona was her friend, she was also her rival. Rias got up and walked out the door with her peerage following behind her. "You guys be careful around Naruto. We still don't know if he is a threat yet. Keep an eye on him. If he doesn't look dangerous, we wait until we recruit Issei and ask Naruto if he would like to join along with him," she said. "Hi, Bucho," they said in unison. Line break. 1 week later. As Naruto was sitting in class, he couldn't but feel that something was going to happen, something life-changing. Why did the bad stuff always happen to him? Recently, the student council and the occult research club had been watching him more closely. Did they figure out he was following them? No, that was impossible. He covered his tracks perfectly. Maybe they sensed a bit of a power spike when he tried out some of his more powerful jutsu while training a week ago. He didn't know, but he felt highly uncomfortable with all the eyes on him. He sighed. He just hoped whatever was coming wasn't too bad. He snapped out of his thoughts when someone waved a hand in front of his face. Naruto, pay attention, man, I'm trying to tell you a story, yelled Issei. Yes, despite all the protests from the girls about Naruto getting infected with Issei's perviness, they had become friends. Well, at least in Naruto's book he always did accept people as friends easily, while Issei might have just thought of him as an acquaintance. Sorry, I was just thinking of some stuff, that's all, Naruto said as he leaned on his hand and looked out the window. What could be more important than peeping on the swim team? Their pay is so amazing, dude. Could you imagine being in the middle of all that? He said with a dreamy look. I don't know, maybe your future, what college you might go to, studying, and a whole bunch of other shit that will actually get you somewhere, he replied with a lazy wave of the hand. Normally Naruto would make fun of him or yell at him for being a pervert, but he wasn't in the mood today. There were too many things on his mind. Plus, it's not like he would stop even if Naruto told him to. Don't be ridiculous. What is life or any of that stuff without the wonderful thing that is the female body? I can't just let you go on blindly. Maybe I should take you with us sometimes to watch some girls, Issei said with his finger pointed in the air. No thanks, I'm not really like that, he replied. Issei inspected him closely for a while. A horrified look came upon his face. Don't tell me you're gay. How could you not love girls? It's blasphemy, he accused while pointing a finger at him. Dozens of people who were listening looked on in shock. Naruto's head shot up. He was about to yell at Issei for saying such a thing. He was straight, damn it. Before he got the chance though, the bell rang and class started. *********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** By the time lunch rolled around, Naruto's mind was mostly clear, and he was feeling better about his situation. As he was walking to the lunchroom thinking about how good he did on his last test, he really did love the appreciation he got. He spotted his perverted friend along with Matsuda and Motohama, otherwise known as the perverted trio of peeping on the kendo club. You would think that after getting beat 100 times by them they would lay off, but no, Jiraiya was like that too. Normally he would let this pass, but he hadn't played a good prank since he became genin. Taking out his ninja wire that he kept hidden and setting it up behind them, Naruto quickly scaled up the closest building to the kendo clubhouse and yelled, "Stop peeking on those girls, you pervs." The reaction was immediate. There was a large amount of girlish screaming coming from inside the kendo club room. Issei and his friends, now realizing that they had been caught, jumped back and started to dash the other way. It worked like a charm. The guys were tangled up in the wire in seconds. The girls came out only to be surprised by a bunch of tied-up pervs and Naruto standing on top of a roof. "Naruto-kun, what happened?" questioned one of the girls. He gave them his famous Naruto grin. "These guys were trying to peek on you. Naturally, I couldn't let them do such a thing without getting punished. Any?" he said, grin still intact. The girls blushed, seemingly touched he would protect them from some guys trying to catch PK their bodies. It wasn't helping that he had grin. Thank you so much, Naruto-kun," they responded. He smiled. "No problem, but go easy on them today, okay?" he said before walking off in a different direction. The girls smiled and turned towards their prey. "Mercy. Please!" yelled Motohama. "Nope," they replied with sinister grins. Naruto laughed as he heard the screams of males in the background. That was too much fun. He forgot how much fun pranking could be. As he looked around, he spotted someone moving away from the lunch area. It was Kaneko, seemingly moving towards the occult clubroom. Lunch didn't end for another 20 minutes, so he decided to follow her. It could possibly give him some information about all their movement lately. As he hoped rooftop to rooftop, he finally landed on top of the clubroom. That Kaneko went inside, he dropped down silently and went in behind her. As he pressed his ear to the door, he heard some people talking. "Are you sure?" a voice that sounded like Kiba said. "Yes, it's confirmed. There definitely is a fallen angel in the area," said a voice that was definitely Rias. Fallen angel? What the hell was that? He had heard of angels, but nobody was really sure if they existed, and even if they did, why would they be here? Shouldn't they be in heaven? Maybe it had something to do with them being fallen? "What are we going to do?" said a monotone voice. A little silence went on for a while. Nothing like Sona said, "This could be our chance. Let's just see what happens. Everybody just go back to lunch." In a blink of an eye, Naruto was gone. As he reappeared in the lunchroom, he was pondering over what he learned. What was going on? What was a fallen angel? This was driving him insane. All he could do was wait now. The next day. Naruto was again staring out the window trying to make sense of everything that happened these past weeks, and for the life of him he couldn't understand what any of it meant even when he asked for Kurama's help. He just had to wait a little longer until this fallen angel made its appearance. Naruto, you're spacing out again, said Issei. Naruto returned his attention to Issei. For the 1000th time, Issei, I don't care about whose boobs you saw, responded Naruto. It's not about that this time. I actually have a girlfriend. Naruto's eyes went wide in shock and he seemingly froze. How is that even possible? What girl would want a perv like you? He said in horror. Hey, I'm not updatable, you know. I'm just more open about my thoughts, he said, trying to defend his ways. Still, it sounds unbelievable. Are you sure you didn't make her up? Issei crossed his arms and huffed. Of course she's real. Her name is Yama and we have a date tonight, he said proudly. I'm so going to get some action, he yelled with a fist pump. Naruto looked on with a sweat drop. How exactly did you even convince her to go out with you in the first place? Issei just continued to stand there proudly. I didn't, she asked me. He once again looked along in disbelief. Are you sure she's not just some assassin disguised as a girl trying to kill you? Nah, don't be stupid. Why would someone do that? Issei said, completely dismissing his plausible claim. Before the conversation could go further, the bell rang and all the students got into their seats. Naruto drifted off into his hour of peaceful rest. Naruto was on his way home from a long search. After all the talk about a fallen angel, Naruto couldn't help but search around for it, seeing if he could sense it. Or not using just basic chakra sensing and tracking, he didn't really want to use senjutsu because that would probably attract the research club's attention even more. He was walking back home and thanks to his super hearing, courtesy of Kurama, he heard a loud squelch coming from quite a distance away. He ran to the spot as fast as he could and made it there not a second later. His eyes went wide. There with a spear made of light was a girl wearing a very skimpy outfit with long black hair. What was most noticeable though was a pair of black wings coming out of her back. A fallen angel. What stopped him cold though was what was at her feet. There, completely dead and unmoving, was the body of Issei Hayato. He felt anger boiling up inside him. Sure, Issei wasn't really one of the closest friends he ever had, but he was still his friend. He was hoping that he could start a new life here where he wouldn't lose anyone. He thought he had the power, he had the fucking Jubi for Christ's sakes, but even then he was still too weak to protect his precious people. Why, damn it! Oh, another weak human, huh? Looks like I'll have to kill you too. I don't want any witnesses, came her voice. Naruto looked up at her. You're going to pay for killing him, he yelled. She looked amused. Oh, was he a friend of yours? It's okay, you'll be meeting with him soon. She raised a light spear intending to end it in one shot, but to her mild surprise he managed to avoid it by sidestepping without batting an eyelash. She summoned 2 more light spears and threw them with superhuman speed. She was once again shocked to see him disappear from view and reappear in front of her. Before she could react, he delivered a hard punch to her gut, sending her flying back into a tree. Ugh, how the hell did you do that? She yelled. He didn't bother responding. As he was preparing to make his next move, he suddenly stopped and felt 4 presences that weren't there before. What were they doing here? They didn't seem to be attacking him, so he would talk to them later. He turned his attention back to the fallen angel. Why did you kill him? He hadn't done anything, he yelled at her. She snarled, it doesn't concern you, human. She spat as she got up and summoned another spear and flew towards him. He took out a kunai and did the same. They both met in the middle where she slashed at him with him. He brought his kunai to block the strike, but imagine his surprise when his kunai was cut clean through. He was forced to bend backward in order to dodge the strike. He then did a back handspring and kicked her in the chin. She flew up in the air and stayed there flapping her wings until she could gain her bearings again. She wiped the blood coming out of her mouth and charged at him once again, planning to stab him. He wasn't going to let it happen. To him this was like fighting a 4-year-old. He grabbed her wrist and delivered a devastating right kick to her head. She went flying back, this time completely going through a tree this time. Rias watched on in shock. Even though this was a low-class fallen angel, a human shouldn't even be able to come close to this level of power. Wow, if he's this strong without the evil pieces, then I wonder how strong he would be with them, she thought. These were the similar thoughts going through the heads of her other peerage members. Rias could hardly contain herself. A human this strong with chakra and senjutsu, which didn't look like was driving him insane. She would definitely be able to beat Riser if she got him. As the fallen angel slowly sat up with blood all over her face, she said, what are you? With a hint of fear. He walked slowly over to her and grasped her by the neck. Why did you kill him? He yelled. I was sent by Kokabil. He ordered me to kill him because of his sacred gear. Naruto adopted a confused face. What the hell was a sacred gear? Guh. It was like every time he found a clue it led to a new mystery. Suddenly there was movement. Naruto turned around just in time to see a flash of red. He let go her neck and looked around. It seemed Issei's body was gone. Before he could further investigate, he heard a voice. I'll pay you back for this, you pathetic human. she said before a circle appeared underneath her, and she disappeared. He looked around again, and confirmed that Issei's body was gone. What did the occult want with Issei's body? Were they in on it and trying to hide it? Or were they to keep the whole incident a secret? He didn't know what to do. Without any evidence nobody would believe him. Issei's body was who knows where by now, so without another course of action he went home leaving with more questions than he could ever hope to solve. The next day, Naruto walked into the lunchroom with a grim expression of his face. He didn't get much sleep last night. His mind plagued with nightmares about failing his friends and hundreds of questions. As he walked in the lunchroom he overheard someone's voice. What do you mean you don't remember her? Her name was Yama, remember? His head snapped up at those words. He looked at the speaker in shock. How could it be possible? He was dead, Naruto was sure of it. Yet there he was alive, and in the flesh it was Issei. Nope, I don't remember her. I think you made her up, bro, replied Motohama. Issei was about to retort when Naruto all but tackled Issei to the ground. He gave a sound similar to a yelp when Naruto was checking him for injuries. Naruto, what the hell are you doing? He yelled, smacking his hands away. Naruto didn't respond. Instead he dragged him outside, while his friends just looked at the scene with a shrug and went back to talking about tits. How the hell are you alive? Naruto whispered quite loudly. Issei looked confused for a moment before he realized what Naruto was talking about. So it wasn't a dream. I knew Yama was real, but how did you know that she tried to kill me? He asked. She didn't try, she did kill you, and I know because I walked onto the scene after it happened. But do tell me how you managed to come back from the dead? He said with the same tone. I don't know, one moment it was black, then the next I'm waking up with a naked Rias next to me. He said, getting another pervy fantasy. Did that mean Rias and her club saved him somehow? Why would they do that? Before he could ponder further he felt the peculiar aura of Kiba coming upon them. What's up, pretty boy? Said Issei, looking a little ticked off at his presence. Hello, Naruto-san, Issei-san. He greeted with a smile. What do you want? Naruto asked with narrowed eyes. Easy, we mean no harm. Bucho was just wondering if you guys would like to talk to us after school today in the occult room after school today, he said with his hands in the air. This could be Naruto's chance to finally get some answers. Even if this was somehow a trap, Naruto would raise Shuriken in the clubhouse before he let Issei die again. Sure, we'll be there, he said, returning the smile. All there was left to do was wait the rest of the day. As the final bell rung dismissing the students, Naruto and Issei met up with Kiba outside. Follow me to the clubhouse, he said, and started to walk towards their destination. As they took a seat inside the clubhouse they heard a lot of water coming from behind a curtain and couldn't help but blush. Everyone was here, Kaneko, Kiba, Akino, so the only one left was the president herself behind the curtains. As they waited patiently for Rias, Akino came out with tea and started to serve everyone. He really liked it. It was probably the best tea he ever tasted. This is great, Akino, he said, smiling. Era, thank you so much, Fox-kun, she said, smiling sweetly. Even though she was trying to tease him, he actually kind of liked it. His favorite animal were foxes next to toads. Finally they could hear the war turning off, and out came Rias wearing her school uniform. Hello, Issei-kun, Naruto-kun, I hope you're comfortable, she said warmly. While Issei was practically gaping at the sight of her, Naruto responded by saying, we're great, but I want to cut to the chase. We both have questions to ask, he said, setting down his teacup. She sighed. Yes, well, I should have expected this, but I guess we'll just get to it then, she said. Naruto looked at her expectantly. Suddenly black-like wings sprouted from everyone's back, including Issei, which left him wide-eyed. We're devils. Naruto didn't know if he should have had a bigger reaction to this or not, but after you see giant toads and snakes, people being revived from the dead, and a creature that could be used to trap the whole world in an illusion, this didn't affect him too much. So you guys aren't going to take my soul or anything, right? He said, chuckling weakly. Rias giggled a little at that. No, relax. That's a common misconception about us devils. We don't go taking everyone's souls for the fun of it. Naruto relaxed a little at hearing that, but tensed up again when Issei yelled, how the fuck did I get these? He screamed while running around in a circle hysterically and trying to look at his new accessories. Rias giggled cutely again. Yes, we should explain. We turned Issei into a devil last night. Naruto looked bewildered and a bit mad that they would turn people into devils. You see, after we determined you didn't need any help dealing with the fallen angel, we saw poor Issei was dead. My position allows me to recurrent the dead, turning them into devils with ease, she said, holding out some chess pieces. Why would you create something like that in first place? Naruto asked, inspecting the red chess pieces. There was a great war between the three great factions, the devils, angels, and fallen angels. All sides were devastated by this war until finally we called a ceasefire. A little while after there was a devil civil war between the old Satan faction and the anti-Satan faction, who opposed the war-like ideals the previous faction held. The anti-Satan faction eventually killed the four great Satans, who were the leaders of the devil faction, and replaced them. One of our leaders, Beelzebub-sama, created this evil peace system and distributed them amongst high-class devils to reincarnate humans as devils in order to repopulate our people, since we were in danger of dying out. There are different pieces: rooks, which give the devil super strength and increased durability, knights, which give the devil increased speed, bishops, which give you increased magical power, the queen, which gives you attributes of all the others except the king, and finally pawns, which can be promoted to any of the ones I mentioned except the king. She finished her long explanation. He stared in awe. Only a year of being here, and he already found some crazy stuff. These mythical beings were actually real, and they had all this history, and he also learned about this evil peace system. It was a whole other world seemingly kept in secret from the people here. It kind of fascinated him to no end. In his world, raising people from the dead was forbidden, but it was a common occurrence in this world of mystical beings. On top of that, they got these pretty useful abilities. One half of him was thinking that this was awesome and was grateful for them saving Issei and giving him new powers, but the other was skeptical. This sounded all too good though, there had to be some consequence. What's the catch? He asked, still examining the pieces. She smiled. You're pretty smart, not like I expected any less from one of our top students. I wouldn't really call it a catch, but the system is designed so you would serve under the king, which in this case everyone here serves under me, she stated. He frowned. That sounded a lot like slavery to him, and he didn't want Issei to be a part of that. That sounds like you're forcing them to be your servants, he said. Rias looked a little pissed and hurt. No, everyone in this peerage is my family. I wouldn't keep them on a leash unless they deserve it. Also, everyone here has enjoyed being part of my peerage except Issei for obvious reasons. The king piece was put in place to make sure we didn't let reincarnated devils run willy-nilly doing whatever they wanted, she said, disapproving his entire theory. It's true. Bucho has taken care of all of us, said a smiling, gathering everyone's empty teacups. Kiba nodded. I'd probably be dead if it wasn't for her, Kiba said approvingly. It's dope, said Kaneko shortly. Naruto smiled a little at that. It did sound nice having your own little family that protected and watched out for each other. On top of that, you got some nifty abilities. He wondered what it would be like to have Grandma Tsunade's strength without having to go into sage mode. Not like he needed it though. He could understand why they needed to put the king piece also. It was kind of the same concept as a village. You were supposed to be loyal to the village, but you still had your own freedoms. If you violated some rules or betrayed the village, you were arrested and killed. To be honest, the idea of actually entertained him. It was like Konoha, but what did these devils do? Because if it was like going on some kick-ass missions, they could sign him up. Having action and cool group of friends sounded fun. I see you're interested, she said, smirking. Before he could open his mouth, Issei butted in. But I don't want to be a devil. This is crazy. Rias sighed. A majority of humans had a similar reaction to the one Issei was having now. You know, one day you could be a high-class devil and have your own peerage. She smiled with girls. Just like that, Issei's mood did a 180, and he yelled, why, you mean I can actually be harem king? With stars in his eyes. Everyone's sweat dropped at his one-track mind. Actually, since we're talking about Issei, I'm wondering what that fallen angel wanted with him. She said she killed him because of his sacred gear? He asked. Rias responded by saying sacred gears are special things given to humans and half-humans by God in order to enact miracles on Earth. We believe Issei has a particularly powerful which could be part of the legendary 13 Longinus. It has been said that they could slay gods, and that made him a target. Naruto's became shocked at that. Could that mean the Issei had the potential to be as strong as the Sage of Six Paths? He didn't really know. Issei also had a look of shock on his face and started to inspect himself all over. How do I use it? He asked. She turned to him. Imagine the most powerful stance you can, she commanded. Most powerful stance, huh? Goku from Dragon Ball doing his signature move? He thought with a look of concentration on his face. You got it? She asked. He nodded vigorously. Good, now take that pose and copy it, she said. The people in the all raised an eyebrow. It looked like Issei was struggling with this somehow. Then all of a sudden he jumped up and put one hand in the air and yelled, activate. Everyone was looking at him like he was some sort of idiot except Rias for some reason. But then all of a sudden a weird gold and red gauntlet-like thing sprouted from his arm with a green circle above the center of the back of his hand. Whoa! This thing looks cool, he said, inspecting it. The others were impressed also and wondered what it could do. While Issei was throwing punches and looking at his new sacred gear, Rias turned back to Naruto. So, I'll just say this now, I want you in my peerage, Naruto, she said, crossing her arms underneath her breasts, pushing them upwards. Naruto couldn't help but blush. She was really beautiful. Her stunning red hair had already entranced him the moment he saw her on his first day. Curse his Namikaze genes. And now with her breasts squished together like that, he was immediately about to agree. But before he could, though, a voice spoke up. I can't believe you actually were about to agree like that. the most powerful man in the elemental nations getting tempted by mounds of flesh, so pathetic. Kurama snorted from inside his head. Realizing what was happening, Naruto shook his head to clear his thoughts. Why would you want me? He asked. Rias pouted, looking a little ticked off she couldn't seduce him. Kaneko-chan sensed that you can use chakra, and not just that senjutsu too, she said. He looked a little shocked at that, but if he could sense them then it wasn't really that big of surprise they could sense him too. Just curious, you can use it, right? Trying to see if Kaneko's judgment was indeed correct. He smiled cockily. Yeah, that's right, I can use it. As if to prove his point, he sat down in a lotus position, completely still for several seconds. The others looked on confused, until they saw a reddish-orange pigment surround his eyes. Naruto, trying to show off a little, pushed out a little of his senjutsu-infused power out. Suddenly a huge wave of power came upon them. They could barely stand it, but at the same time it felt nice, warm, and protective. Kaneko couldn't help but let her ears and tail grow and purr lightly with a content smile, and Akino wanted to take him then and there. She licked her lips and rubbed her thighs together, barely containing herself over the power he was exuding. Unknown location. A black cat was walking down an alley when suddenly it felt a very familiar power in the air. This power, it seemed so strong and familiar, Naya thought while looking up in the sky, then it darted off. Research clubroom. As the pressure lifted, the rest of his fellow classmates couldn't help but be amazed. Rias wasn't sure what happened, but from what Kaneko told her, you didn't get the pigment that Naruto did when he was using senjutsu. Maybe it was because he was human? Nonetheless, the power he released at minimum was high class. If he had any more tricks up his sleeve, Rias wasn't sure she could reincarnate him. Kaneko pouted at the loss of warmth, and Akino's blush was fading from view as they both sat on the couch. Pretty sweet, huh? He said. Rias nodded slowly. So what do you say, Naruto? Want to join? We could use someone with your abilities and another member of the family, she said warmly. Naruto seemed to think about it. He didn't really see any disadvantages. He got friends, and they didn't really seem evil, and who knew what adventures he would go on with them. Sure. Sign me up, Rias-chan, he said with a beaming smile. Rias returned it, and said, lay down on your back so we can do the ceremony. Naruto nodded and laid down on the nearest couch. Rias walked over to him with a night piece in her hand and placed it on his chest. I, Rias Gremry, command the Uzumaki Naruto to rise and serve me as my knight. Embrace your new life as a devil, she yelled. Success. Wait, never mind, it wasn't a success. Well, that was weird, she mumbled. This time she pulled out a rook and did the same thing. Nothing. Bishop. Nope. Damn it. I was afraid that this would happen, she yelled, looking at the pieces. What's wrong? He asked. She sighed. This system works so that the number of pieces correspond with the amount of power a person has. For example, I had to use all 8 of my pawns on Issei because of his sacred gear. She was dejected, sure, but this just meant Naruto was incredibly strong. Issei took all 8 of her pawns, and all the pieces she used on Naruto equaled to 3 pawns. That could put Naruto anywhere from queen level to Issei's level when he fully mastered the scared gear. Her peerage seemed to realize this too. What they didn't know was that a queen would even come close to reincarnating him either, and that Issei probably wouldn't be able to match Naruto even after he reached his full potential. That would explain it, he thought. He did forget to mention that he was basically a god. Has some things just slip your mind, he guessed. Now that he thunk about it, telling people he was all-powerful wasn't such a good idea. Too much attention, and people probably wouldn't see him like he wanted them to anyway. Oh well, this doesn't mean we can't be friends, right? He asked hopefully. She sighed once again before she smiled. Of course we can still be friends. In fact, you're welcomed here anytime you like, seeing as you know our secret. She wouldn't be so cold as to turn someone away just because she couldn't have them in her peerage. Also, this just meant Naruto was strong and he would prove a valuable ally to have in the future. Well, that's great and all, but can you tell me what to do to become harem king? Issei cut in. Akino giggled. Era eager are we? She said seductively. Naruto looked confused. The Akino in school was always sweet and innocent. Humans summon us and we complete their desires in exchange for a pact with them though. Also, you have the right to decline, just like Kiba did when that girl asked him to take her virginity. Rias continued, causing a shiver to run down his spine. Sweet, give me a client back ho, said an excited Issei. Nope, first you have to hand out these flyers. This is how humans will summon us, she said, handing a huge stack of papers to a surprised Issei. All of these have to be handed out before you can take jobs, she said. Good luck with that, Naruto yelled, walking out of the room. You're not gonna even help me, Naruto. The next day, Naruto was running alongside Issei. It seemed that now that Issei was done handing out flyers, he could actually do some jobs now that he got rid of all the summoning papers. Issei tried to teleport there, but it turned out he had such low magical reserves a magic circle wouldn't work for him. Naruto probably could have used one, but he didn't want to leave Issei alone, so here he was running alongside him while he was riding his bike. Damn Naruto, how long can you keep that up for this long? Asked Issei. They had been biking for 20 minutes now and Naruto didn't even look winded. Please, this is as easy as counting to 10. He replied. I guess it's to be expected, you showed us how strong you in the research room. Naruto nodded. He didn't like keeping his abilities a secret, but he could deal. They finally arrived at their destination a couple minutes later. Naruto stopped and leaned against the fence. You can go and do whatever you devils do, I'll wait here, he said. Issei nodded and proceeded up the stairs to the summoner's apartment. Naruto just stood there looking off into the sunset. He wondered how much stuff was going to change now that he was involved with the supernatural. 10 minutes later. After a while there came out a dejected and horrified Issei. Hey, did you get the contract? Naruto asked, leaving his position by the fence. Does it look like I did? No, that creepy-ass man wanted me to dress up in some princess girl costume. There's no way I'm doing that, he yelled. Naruto just laughed at his misfortune. Good luck telling Rias, he just said. On the way back, Naruto sensed the same kind of feeling he did when he saw Yama. Stop, he yelled. Issei and him came to a screeching halt. What, man? My mom's gonna kill me if I don't make it home for dinner in time. Can you just shut up for a minute? Naruto said, completely ignoring his concerns. He turned around just in time to see a girl in red-like cloak with purple hair walking towards them slowly. Who are you? Asked Issei. My name is Warner, but that not important. What is though is how you're still alive, she said in a dark voice. The duo's eyes widened at that statement. They seemed to get larger when a pair of black wings emerged from her back. A fallen angel, said Naruto. She was supposed to have taken care of you already. No matter, I'll just finish you here, she said, summoning a spear of light into her hand. Without warning, she threw it lightning fast at Issei. Watch out, yelled Naruto. It looked like Issei wasn't fast enough to dodge, so Naruto quickly tackled him to the ground. As this happened, the fallen angel managed to get a glimpse at Issei's hand. Servants from the House of Gremory, that'll just make this more the worthwhile. Naruto quickly sprung into action, taking out a tri-pronged kunai and throwing it at her. She didn't even bother to dodge because it was so off target. Haha, you plan to get rid of me with some fancy-looking knives, not to mention your aim is shit. I knew devils were pathetic, but I expected better. She laughed. It was cut short when Naruto grinned and disappeared in a flash of yellow and reappeared beside her. He delivered a harsh kick to her midsection which made her spit out some saliva. She landed just a bit away from Issei. You piece of shit. Whatever, I don't need to deal with you. The stupid punk with brown hair is all I need to kill, she said, charging towards Issei. Issei, get out of there. Naruto yelled, cursing himself internally. He should have known they would go after Issei after all that. What it looked like all these angels wanted anyway. Naruto became scared when Issei didn't move but instead raised his arm up into the sky. Think of something strong, he thought repeatedly. Then it happened, his arm transformed into his sacred gear and began emitted green-like energy. Whatever Issei did, it worked. A bunch of green beams started to hit the fallen angel, ripping off her clothes in the process. As she was floating in the air, she made an annoyed noise. I don't need to deal with this. A guy who can teleport and a sacred gear. I'll let someone else deal with this shit, she said before taking off into the sky. Line break. Naruto and Issei made it back to the clubroom in record time to report the event. The look on Ria's face told them that she wasn't happy. This is bad now. Not only do they know that you're still alive, they also saw your scared gear and that you've been resurrected as a devil. Nonetheless, I suppose it was unavoidable. Just be careful, Issei, she said. Issei nodded. Naruto, I heard that you used some sort of teleportation magic? She asked. Era, it seems Foxy-kun is getting more interesting every day, said Akino, suddenly coming up from behind him and wrapping her arms around his midsection while pushing her breasts into his back. What surprised him the most though was that she nibbled on his ear a little. Naruto for his part blushed bright red and quickly moved away from Akino. He had never had a girl do that to him before. Why would she do that, and why had it felt kind of good? Akino just stood there biting her lips seductively and not giving a care in the world. Akino, this is not the time, Rias said sternly. Akino just giggled. Sorry, Bucho, I just couldn't resist. Then she went back to normal, acting like none of it ever happened. So, how did you do it? She asked, snapping him out of his confusion. He pulled out a tri-pronged kunai. The markings on these allow me to teleport to anywhere the kunai is. It was invented by my dad, so it's kind of a family secret, he responded. Your dad is involved with the supernatural too? He should have taught you stuff about the magical world. I'm surprised you haven't heard about devils till before now, she said, examining the kunai. Naruto's face became distraught. My parents died on the day I was born. I just managed to copy it with a little help from my old sensei. he said lowly, remembering his deceased father and perverted sensei. Rias' face looked apologetic. I'm sorry, I didn't know, she said sincerely. He forced a smile. It's nothing, I'm over it. If that's all, can I go now? Rias nodded solemnly. He turned and left without saying another word, leaving the whole group to wonder what had happened. Rias actually was interested. Naruto seemingly was some sort of magician with chakra. She wanted to know more about his past, and she would too. A few days later. Things went well after that little scuffle with the fallen angel. The jobs that Issei and him went on were fairly easy and not as embarrassing, but it seemed no matter what, Issei couldn't make a pact. He also noticed that some weird things were going on. For one, it looked like Rias was trying to pry into his personal life for some reason. They were his friends, but he wasn't ready to tell them about what he went through as a child. Maybe someday though. He also noticed that Akino had been acting strangely around him too. At school she was always nice and innocent, but in the clubroom Issei would do some intimate things. She would at just some random times touch him all around his body, sit on his lap, and whisper naughty things into his ear, even stuff involving chains and whips. She even said something about him dominating her. Rias said it had something to do with when he released his power when he used senjutsu, and that Akino was into SNM, whatever that was. He was pretty much freaked out when she said stuff about bondage and avoided her when she talked about stuff like that. He couldn't deny though that a little part of him found it extremely hot. Who wouldn't if you had one of the hottest girls in school doing stuff like that to you? Even if she was a bit freaky, he doubted she could do half the stuff she said she would with his level of power. This seemed to earn quite a response from Issei, yelling things like the pretty boys always get the girls and other things like that. But overall he was enjoying his new life. His friends were fun and kind, Kiba more so than the others. Kaneko was hilarious, dissing Issei, and her monotone voice always seemed to make him laugh, and Rias was a lot of fun to hang out with too. But right now him and Issei were headed home from another failed attempt at getting a pact. You really suck at this, you know, Naruto told him in a far too happy tone. Shut up. It's not easy, you know. Maybe it would be easier if you actually helped instead of sitting there and laughing at me when I fail, he said, criticizing him. Hey, I had to work hard to get where I was today. Doing stupid stuff like cleaning and dressing up isn't something I worked for, he said, defending his case. Yeah, whatever, I'll get it the next time and then I'll be one step closer to being harem king, he declared. Damn, and he was doing so well too. Naruto guessed the shock of almost getting killed a second time finally passed over, and he was back to being his perverted self. Sure man, I'm gonna hit the McDonald's around the corner. You want anything? Naruto asked. Sure, let me get a hamburger, said Issei. Naruto nodded and walked off. Issei stood behind and started to walk around. He was thinking about how bad he was doing lately. No doubt Rias was really upset at him for failing another summoning request. He sighed. Being harem king was a lot harder than he thought it would be. As he was thinking, he failed to notice the girl in front of him and bumped into her. Kya! She yelled, falling to the ground. Issei looked alarmed and quickly offered this person his hand. Whoever this was, they were wearing a blue outfit with a cross hanging around her neck. It hurt his head little when his mind screamed danger at it. The person also had a white veil around their head hiding their face from view. I'm so sorry, here Issei said, extending his hand to them. As the person was pulled to their feet, he couldn't help but blush. Standing in front of him was a girl, long blonde hair that reached past her hips. She also had brilliant green emerald eyes that seemed to go together perfectly with her hair. He could honestly say she looked like an angel. I'm so sorry, I'm really clumsy and didn't see where I was going. Her voice sweet as honey. No, it was my fault, I was just caught up thinking about something, he said, practically ogling her. She seemed obvious to his staring. This is a little embarrassing. I'm new in town and learning how to speak the language, so I don't really know where the church is. Could you show me, please? She asked. Yes, of course, I would be glad to. Issei agreed, immediately completely forgetting about Naruto. She clapped. Oh, thank you so much, may God bless you. He winced a little from the getting blessed by God. Well, my name is Issei Haida, and you? He asked. Asia Argento, nice to meet you. Naruto left the shop with a hamburger in hand, going back to the spot where he left Issei at. He was surprised to find Issei missing, and his eyes widened when he realized what it could mean. It was possible some fallen angel got a hold of Issei when he left him alone. It wouldn't be a surprise considering how many times they attacked him in a span of 2 days. So Naruto sprinted off trying to find his lost friend. So you're a nun, yeah? Said Issei, trying to keep a conversation going. Yes, I am. I was recently assigned to the church here, she said in a low, sweet tone. Really? Where did you go to before? He asked. Her face became downcast. I used to work for a church in Europe. It was really great, a shame I had to leave, she said longingly. Issei could tell she was really down and cursed himself for bringing it up. Why did the stuff he said upset girls? He was going to try to comfort her, trying to make sure he didn't lose his chance when they heard a boy crying distance. She quickly left the conversation and ran towards the little boy with a scrape on his knee. There, big boy, like you shouldn't cry over such a little thing," she said, getting on her knees. Issei was astonished when a green light started coming out of her hands and started to heal the little boy's knee. "They're all better now, run along," she said, smiling. "Thank you very much, miss," he said with million-watt smile and walked away with his mother. She looked happy watching the mother and child walking off merrily. She turned and walked back to Issei. "You must be surprised, huh?" she asked. Yeah, kind of, that's a pretty cool power. You're pretty lucky to have it," he said. She smiled sadly. "Yes, very lucky," she said, looking at the ground. Damn, he messed up again. Suddenly he felt a chill go down his spine. He looked up and saw the church sitting there. "Oh, thank you for accompanying here. I'm truly blessed to have met you. Maybe you could come visit me sometimes?" she asked a little hopefully. Yes, sure," he said half-heartedly, feeling a little uneasy about the feeling of the church. She nodded and gave him a sweet smile. "Thank you one who again, Issei-san. Hopefully we'll meet again." She waved at him before turning around and leaving. She was probably the nicest person I've ever met. "Finally I found you," said Naruto from behind him. "It's not nice to leave people hanging, you know," he stated, sounded annoyed. "Heh, sorry, I just saw this really pretty girl," and Naruto cut him off. "You know what, never mind." He sighed. Why was it always girls with him? "Well, we were going to take our time, but I'll just get us there faster. Rias is probably waiting," he said, grabbing his shoulder and disappearing in a yellow flash. Clubroom. "What's taking them so long?" Rias said, tapping her fingers against the desk impatiently. Era, who knows, maybe Foxy-kun took my suggestion and is buying equipment," she said with a blush. Rias just ignored her best friend in favor of watching the nighttime sky. Suddenly a flash came from the couch, and there was Naruto laying down, and Issei on the floor seemingly nauseated. "Where were you guys?" Issei managed to croak out a response. "I was helping a nun find the sea church," he said with swirls in his eyes. "What?" Her eyes going wide and her face turning to one of anger. "Listen, Issei, I don't want you going near her or that church again. A devil being there could cause major problems. I don't want to see you with that nun either. If they found out you were a devil, they could kill you, understand?" She all but basically yelled at him. Naruto and Issei were both taken aback by her words. Certainly hanging out with a nun couldn't be that bad, could it? "Yes, I understand," he said, pretty sad he wouldn't be able to see her again. "Now, Issei, unless you have a pact, you can go home." He cringed a little at his failure before turning around and leaving. Rias huffed a little before saying, "It's been a long day, so I'm going to go home a little early," she said before walking out. Naruto whistled a little. "What was with the little tantrum?" "She doesn't mean to sound so mean, she's just worried is all," said Akino. Naruto nodded. It made sense that Rias was worried. Over the past couple days Rias had informed him a lot about the world of devils, and churches were definitely a no-no. She also talked a little about a faction that could use chakra. He was surprised when Kaneko found out he could use chakra. He didn't even know that it existed in this world, but he was shocked even more when Rias mentioned that there was a whole faction that could use chakra too, and the head of it was in Kyoto. Maybe he would visit it soon and see what stuff they could teach him. He would save that for later. He was getting off topic. Anyways, he knew how dangerous churches were to devils, and Rias was right telling him not to risk it. He knew Issei would get over it. He only knew the girl for like 20 minutes after all. Era, it seems we're alone, Foxy-kun," he heard Akino say from behind him. He turned around just to be tackled to ground by Akino. She sat on his stomach and put her hands on her face. "You know, I like to be on top, but if you want I'll let you take control," she said in a very slow and sexy manner. Naruto could only sputter nonsense and look at her with wide eyes. "No? Okay, that's fine, I like it that way," she said, batting her eyelashes rapidly. She took her hands off her chin and traced his muscles with her fingers through his black shirt. Era, strong are we? I wonder how long you could last," she said, leaning in close. Naruto was having trouble breathing. He hoped she wasn't talking about what he thought she was. Yes, despite him being a knucklehead, Naruto knew what sex was. How could he not? His sensei was a man who wrote porn for money. He also had Grandma Swanda, who was a medic, explaining in detail about the male and female anatomies to him too, so he knew plenty about it. Despite all their lessons, and a guide to having great sex from Jiraiya, he was not ready for all this stuff she was doing, even though she was teasing. Heck, he hadn't even kissed a girl yet. Just as she was about lean in to seal the deal, he disappeared in a yellow flash and reappeared on top of the couch. Naruto quickly jumped off the couch and dashed out the door, leaving a bewildered Akino behind. She pouted. "Oh my, and I thought I had him too." She sighed. Oh well, she would get him next. She did always like a little chase. Doing this stuff was so fun. The next day, the whole occult club except for Rias was gathered around the table enjoying tea. It was nice moments like this that they sat around and just talked about things. Naruto was glad he found these guys really Right now, he was letting a little bit of Sage Mode chakra leak out of him because Kaneko really enjoyed how it felt, and Akino, let's just say she liked it too. Naruto was aware that Kaneko could use chakra and senjutsu. Apparently she a special type of Nikomata, called a Nekasha, that were capable of mastering senjutsu. He didn't know why, but Rias had only told him and not Issei, but he guessed it had to do something with him having chakra and senjutsu too. In fact, he tried to teach it to her one time, but she refused quite harshly actually. He didn't know why. Senjutsu was great and made you a lot more powerful, but she denied him, saying something like easier for humans or something like that. As they were enjoying their time together, Rias slammed the door open and she came in with a determined look on her face. We've been assigned a mission from the Archduke, she stated with authority. What is it, Bucho? Asked Kiba. There is a stray devil in the area and we've been assigned to take care of it, she responded. Naruto, if you want to come, we could use some extra help and we could demonstrate our powers too. Naruto was all game when he heard they were going to hunt down something. It had been too long since his last real fight. He hoped that this would actually be a challenge, unlike his last two fights with the fallen angels. Sure, I'm looking for some fun anyways, he stated, getting up ready to head out. Alright, let's go then, she said, preparing a magic circle. Then few seconds later they all disappeared. All of them were gathered out in front of an abounded building. What's a stray devil anyways? Asked Naruto. Akino answered him. Sometimes there are devils that leave or kill their masters to gain freedom, so usually they're dealt with by normal devils, she replied. Rias nodded yes, and apparently this one has been tricking people into that abandoned building and eating them. Issei made a choking noise. We have to kill something like that. Rias nodded. Don't worry, perv, we got this, said Kaneko, putting on some gloves. Alright, let's go, said Rias, walking over to the front of the building. Naruto was going to assume they were going to sneak in or something, but Rias just kicked the door open. They walked inside and Naruto noticed the room was very dark and gloomy. He felt a weird Y signature, but it was too small to be a human. It was probably a rat or something. What's this? A human in here? Oh, I wonder how you must taste. Hopefully you're sweet and delectable, came a voice from the darkness. Naruto knew exactly where the devil was and turned in time to see boobs. Naruto couldn't tell what the rest of her looked like, but right now he was seeing a completely naked upper half of a woman. He would have blushed a little if it wasn't for the fact that this person's aura was so sinister and evil. Well, look at the jugs on that girl, Issei said. Sai trust Issei to ignore the seriousness of the situation in favor of staring at some breasts. Stray, you have one last chance. Return to your master, and no harm will befall upon you, yelled Rias, stepping up a little. Please, you little bitch, you're just jealous that I have a more sexier body than you, she responded, kneading her breasts. Damn, these strays were sure a piece of work. The girl looked like she had gone insane. Did this happen to all strays, or was she crazy to begin with? Then her whole body came into view, and Issei regretted saying those words earlier. In front of them was something that could only be described as a monster. Below her upper body she had brown fur and a weird centaur-like body. Below that she had a giant pair of legs. It was like a body on top of a body. It just seemed wrong. Fine then, if you will not comply, we'll have to kill you, she said, a disgusted look coming across her features. Before she could go any further, magic circles started to glow from her. That was probably one of the weirdest things Naruto had seen in his life, that surely would stick with him as long as he lived. They transformed into mini-like cannons and fired yellow beams at them. They all dodged them effortlessly, except for Issei, who had to be saved by Rias. Kibago left. Rias started but suddenly stopped when a blur ran past her. Finally, it's been a long time since I've let loose a little, yelled Naruto, running towards the devil at blinding speeds, Sage Mode activated. Before anyone could blink, Naruto had already punched the stray into a wall. Damn you! She screamed before her upper body transformed into that of a hideous monster's too. She rose from the ground and attempted to punch him, but he just flipped and landed on her massive arm. Damn, you're probably the most ugly thing I've seen, he said before flipping off her arm again and delivering an axe kick to her head. The ground shook from the force of the impact as Naruto landed in front of her. After recovering from the hit, she began swiping at him with her arms and legs. Rias, finally recovering from her shock, yelled, Naruto, what are you doing? You could get killed. Naruto just grinned while dodging another strike that destroyed a pillar. Are you kidding me? This is fun, he yelled back, smiling. Era, it seems Naruto-kun is having a good time, said Akino, coming up beside a stunned Rias. Naruto once again avoided a strike by sliding and gave kick to her leg, making the stray fall over. She let out a grunt when Naruto gave her hard kick to her gigantic body, cracking a few ribs. The monster started to steadily get back up, but Naruto disappeared from view, kunai in hand. He reappeared, slicing off one of her arms with wind chakra. She screamed out in pain and decided to jump down onto her leg and drove the kunai into her abdomen. She screamed out in pain once and again. It filled the whole room. He landed in from it, her facing the group, the demon seemingly dead behind him with blood leaking out of its arm and guts spilling out of its side. Damn, that's it. Well, that was a huge disappointment, Naruto said, facing the group, the body behind him. The group's eyes widened when they saw movement again. Guys, what's wrong?" he asked. Then suddenly he was impaled by one of the demon's long toenails. "Naruto!" the whole group yelled. "That's what that little piece of shit gets for fucking with me," said the woman before flicking him off her foot. The peerage stood there shocked. They assumed that Naruto could handle this, seeing him completely overpower the Issei, but their carelessness got someone killed. "Dang, what up with the sad faces, did some die?" asked a voice from the rafters. There, sitting casually, was Naruto. Rias' eyes showed disbelief before she turned her attention back to where Naruto had died and saw a log. Naruto grinned again before standing up and forming a Rasengan in one hand and taking out a Hiroshige kunai with the other. "It was fun, but I'll end this now," he said before throwing the kunai straight at her main body. All you saw was a yellow flash before Naruto appeared and drove the orb into the girl's stomach. He pushed off her with his legs and landed in front of her. Blood was gushing out of the hole Naruto made in her stomach, and her eyes were quickly losing life. Finally, she stumbled a little before she fell on the floor dead for good. "Well, that was fun. It's been a while since I let loose a little," he said, facing the group with a smile. "How the fuck did you do that anyway?" yelled Issei, who was the most astonished out of all of them. "And magic," he answered lamely. Era, what a great job you did back there, Foxy-kun," Akino said, no doubt wanting him more for that display of power. Kaneko nodded. "It was awesome," she said bluntly, no facial expression showing. "Well, mission accomplished, let's head back," Rias said, deciding she had enough excitement for today. They all gathered around her as she teleported them away. The next day, Naruto was honestly starting to get bored. Right now, he was waiting on a bench playing on his phone while Issei was trying to make a contract. After that little fight with that stray, Naruto was itching for another one, and he was getting sick of coming on these assignments with Issei because now he was eager for more fighting, and seeing Issei fail wasn't funny anymore. Normally Naruto would go inside with him and watch him deal with the client, but he didn't even bother this time. He knew exactly what was going to happen, and not to sound harsh, but he didn't think Issei was going to get packed anytime soon. Naruto would have helped him to actually finish a job for once, but one learns best from experience. If Issei couldn't even do this alone, how could he take down a stray like the one they just fought? So here he was sitting on a bench playing his favorite game, Clash of Clans. Naruto actually thought this game was actually pretty fun. Normally he played it at home, which was very rarely, but now that life was once again getting boring, he might start playing it more. He was just about to destroy an enemy village, giving him a perfect 3 stars, when he heard a gunshot coming from the apartment that Issei was at the moment. Naruto quickly put up his phone and raced towards the apartment complex. As he came to the right place, he jumped from the ground to the next floor without any problems. As he came to the door where the incident happened, he sensed multiple signatures form. He opened slowly, seeing what was going on. His face showed surprise when he saw Issei being carried by Kaneko and the rest of Rias' peerage there. As he looked away from them, he saw a man with white hair like his own and dark red eyes, holding a girl by her blonde hair roughly while the other was holding a gun. What surprised him the most, though, were 2 fallen angels right behind them. The peerage and the other little group had a red and white magic circles underneath them, and they were staring to fade away from view. "No! Asia!" yelled Issei, pounding on Kaneko's back before fading from view. Just as the fallen angels were about to leave, Naruto closed the gap so fast Might Guy would have been in awe. Grabbing one of them, he quickly twisted and slammed them into the wall, while the rest got away. As Naruto looked at their face, he recognized it instantly. It was Calawarner rising up and holding her stomach with a grimace of pain. "You again? Why do you have to be such an annoyance?" she said, straightening herself. Naruto frowned. Whatever she and her other fallen angel friends did to that girl, it seemed to get quite a reaction out of Issei. He had never heard such desperation in Issei's voice before. He would have tried to save her and take out the other fallen angel, but they were fading before he even got into the room. He only had time to get one before they all disappeared. "What are you doing here? I thought I chased you off after last time," Naruto taunted. She laughed. "Nothing much. We just decided to set a trap for some devil scum." "What about the girl? What were you doing with her?" Getting into his fighting stance. "Just because you're standing there trying to look all scary, I'm not going to start spilling my guts to you," she snarled. Raising her hand up in the air, she summoned a spear of light and throwing it at Naruto. This was too easy. Did these guys have anything besides this one attack? Oh well, he would see if training with the elements paid off. Earth style, mud wall, he cried before slamming his hands into the floor. Instantly a wall made of hardened mud came bursting out of the ground, stopping the strike. "You've always got some new trick," she yelled, racing towards him. Naruto jumped back as she smashed through wall. He landed and started doing hand signs water style, scattering bullets. He yelled before spitting out dozens of huge balls of water at her. The attack hit her hard and sent her tumbling to the floor. She tried to move her wings, but the water seemingly made them unusable. What's wrong? Bird can't use its wings. He smirked before uttering. Lighting style, electromagnetic murder. Suddenly a current of electricity came out of his hands, shocking the angel to a huge degree, only amplified by the remaining water from his previous attack. After he let the technique go, she collapsed to the ground, panting heavily. He walked over to her with a Rasengan in his hand. He squatted down right in front of her. A little. You see this? He said. She barely opened one eye to see the spinning orb. This will put a hole through you if you don't tell me what you fallen angels are still doing here. Issei is a devil now. Are you trying to start a war? He said with a serious tone that he rarely ever used. It's kind obvious why he hated war. Go to hell, she said, suddenly getting her second wind and swiping a light spear upwards. He dodged to the right and kicked her upwards just like Lee did when performing his front lotus. Unlike Lee though, he jumped back and went through hand signs at lightning fast speed. Wood style, wood dragon jutsu. He cried before a huge dragon came out from the ground with glowing yellow eyes and darted towards the angel. As she bounced off from hitting the roof, the giant dragon smashed into her. She let out a scream of pain before she was smashed into the wall. Dead. It was a pretty ugly sight. She was crushed like a bug with blood pouring off her mangled body. Naruto cringed at the sight. He honestly didn't think it would be that bad. Oh well, he had been through a lot more than this. Even though it was bad, he wouldn't dwell on it. He took one last look at the scene before disappearing in a yellow flash. The next day, the peerage was surprised to hear that Naruto had killed one of the fallen angels. They knew he was outside because Issei had told them where he was when they got back. They assumed he would be fine because the angels were already teleporting when they left. To their surprise, Naruto said he managed to grab one before they teleported away. That spoke volumes for Naruto's speed. Right now though, Issei had just gotten back from spending the day with Asia and was getting done explaining what Asia had to go through. She was abandoned by her mother and was taken in by the church. She grew up learning to praise God and lived a very religious life. One day it was found out that she had the ability to heal people, and the church declared it a blessing from God. All around the world people flocked to get their injuries healed by her. But it all went bad one day. One time she stumbled upon an injured devil and in an act of kindness healed him. When the church found out, they immediately excommunicated her and called her terrible things like a witch. With nowhere left to turn, she joined the fallen angels. It was a sad story, kind of like his own. Him and Asia were both abandoned and cast out for powers that people considered evil. If by the end of this meeting Rias decided that she wasn't going to rescue her, then Naruto sure as hell would. When Issei started to plead his case to Rias, she slapped him across the face, stunning him. Let me try to get this through your head. You can't save her. She's with the fallen angels. If we cause some sort of conflict, it could start another war, so just forget about her. He had to give Issei some credit when he looked back at her with hardened eyes. It doesn't matter what you say, I'm not just going to leave her there. You'll have to kill if you don't want this war, because I'll go no matter what. Besides, what's it to you? You'll just be losing the worst member here, Issei said. You're not as bad as you think, Issei. Remember what I said about the pawn piece. If you enter enemy territory, say I don't know the church for example, you can be promoted to any piece except mine, she stated with a mischievous glint in her eye. Naruto raised an eyebrow. What was she implying? Also remember that no matter what piece you are, it's always good to bring backup, she said, a slight grin on her face. Naruto connected the dots and a look of realization came upon his face. She was basically giving them the go-ahead to attack the base. Akino walked up to Rias and whispered something into her ear. Me and Akino have something to attend to, so don't go and do anything wild, she said, turning and leaving with Akino behind her. As Akino was walking past Naruto, she whispered, don't blow up the place this time, okay? She giggled at his facial expression before following Rias. You guys might as well not try to stop me, because he was cut short when Naruto interrupted. Save the speech, Superman. We're not going to stop you. In fact, we'll back you up. It should be fun. Naruto grinned and looked over at the other two and waited for a response. Yeah, I'll help you out, Issei-san, said Kiba, holding his sword. I don't want Issei-senpai to die, even if he is a perv, Kaneko said, no emotion in her voice. Alright, let's go kick some ass, yelled Naruto. Line break. Currently they were outside the building that Naruto had tracked the fallen angels to. You guys ready to do this? Kiba asked the group. They all nodded their heads and proceeded to go inside. Opening the door with a loud creak, they stepped into the building. The setting was familiar when they were fighting that stray devil. Well, what do we have here? The same devils from before. Oh, and an extra too, said Fried, taking a look at Naruto. That's great, now I have more devils to kill, he continued before taking out his light sword and special gun. Kiba quickly dashed forth, slashing at him with the speed of a knight. Fried actually managed to block Kiba blow for blow, which was surprising. You're not bad, pretty boy, he said, slashing diagonally at him. While this was, Kaneko picked up and threw a huge piece of rubble at him. He kicked Kiba off of him before slicing the piece of rock in half. Naruto decided it was finally time to get involved and took in a huge breath of air. Wind style, air bullets. He screamed before he released several compact bullets of air at the stray exorcist. Fried tried to block with the sword, but to no avail. He was easily sent back onto the floor. "You're no devil, are you?" Fried said, standing up. "You could call me a magician or maybe a ninja," he said, smiling, earning a confused look from everyone. Naruto ran at him with a wind chakra-infused kunai and slashed sideways with it. Fried was focusing all his energy into keeping this attacking from breaking through his defense. The knife was a lot more powerful than it seemed. Naruto then finally broke through, making Fried stumble a little backwards. Naruto then slashed again the opposite way, but Fried just dodged backwards. They exchanged blow after blow before Naruto seemed to get tired of this and punched his arm with his left hand while blocking Fried's strike with the other. He let out little hurt noise before dropping his light sword and getting stabbed in the leg by Naruto. He let out a hiss of pain before Naruto punched him in the face. Hard. He went flying back before rolling on the floor and hitting the podium. "Fuck you devils and that fancy-ass mage too," he said before taking out a flash bomb. He threw the bomb to the ground and disappeared in a bright flash, blinding everyone temporarily. Naruto looked pleased with his victory, but his head snapped to the rafters. There it was there again, just like at the Stay Devils building. There was something out there emitting a strange aura. "Well, it was good to see him again," said Kiba. "Guys." They heard before Kaneko smashed some wood leading to a staircase. They quickly ran down the stairs only to be shocked to see Rias glowing bright green and a weak Asia strapped to a cross. "Asia!" Issei yelled before charging head first into the group of stray exorcists. He was about to be sliced when Naruto came up behind the stray and stabbed his neck with a kunai. "Be careful, Issei. We'll clear a path for you. Get Asia and let's dip," Naruto said before he joined Kaneko and Kiba in taking out exorcists. Issei quickly ran through the middle and unshackled Asia, while Rias just stood there looking content. "With this, the fallen angels will adore me," she said, looking at the new sacred gear on her hand. "Why did you do this?" "She didn't do anything wrong," he yelled at her. "This is what sacred gear possessors are for." She laughed in his face. As much as he wanted to fight her, he knew he wasn't strong enough, and he felt like a bitch for doing what he was about to do. He turned around with Asia in his arms and ran. As he was close to the exit, he turned around. "Guys, let's go," Issei yelled at them, but they were fighting off numerous amount of exorcists right now. "Don't worry about us, we'll cover your exit," Naruto yelled back. But he started but was stopped. "Please trust us, after all you know what I can do, Issei," said Naruto. Issei nodded at that. If anyone could protect these guys, it was Naruto. As Issei turned to leave, Rain followed him up the stairs. Naruto, deciding now was a perfect chance to end this, swiftly took out some Hiraishin kunai and scatters them amongst the crowd. "Let's get wild," he said before all you could see was yellow. He tore through the group fast and unmercifully, cutting down whoever he saw when he popped up and disappearing again. It was a bloodbath. Kaneko and Kiba were left bewildered at how fast Naruto took care of them. "What?" Naruto asked them. Kiba shook his head. "Nothing, let's hurry up and catch up to Issei." They all nodded and ran up the stairs to help Issei out. As they emerged, Kiba had to quickly run to Issei and stop him from falling over. "Good job, Issei, we knew you could do it," said Kiba encouragingly, seeing the downed Rainier on the floor. "Yes, we did," came the voice of Rias. "Good job, you guys, now all there's left to do is to finish her," she said before looking at her, but there in her place looked to be a normal girl. "Issei, you wouldn't let them kill me, right?" said Rias. "Yama." Issei's eyes widened and he tumbled a little. "Yama," he gasped out. "Issei, I had to do this stuff, surely you could understand with me being a fallen angel and all," she said in her innocent tone. It looked like Issei was having trouble processing anything right now. He knew she was evil, but he couldn't bring himself to kill her or bend look at her. "Issei, please, I want to be with you. I love you, ISSA." She suddenly gasped out in pain when a kunai was embedded into her side. Naruto had a dark look on his face. He could believe this girl. She knew she was screwed, so why would really use Issei's emotions like that? It was like she was just adding salt to the wounds before she was dead. He felt really bad for Issei now. He knew what it was like for a girl to confess her love even though you knew it wasn't true. He didn't tell anyone, but before he had actually fully accepted Hinata, Sakura had hurt him bad after her fake confession in the Land of Iron. That moment was probably the only time he was mad at her, but he eventually forgave her because she was trying to protect him from Sasuke. Even though it was for his protection, Naruto couldn't help but feel a little hurt and betrayed. Well, this was on a way smaller scale since he had loved Sakura since they were young and Issei had only gone out with this girl for one day, but still emotions like that weren't supposed to be toyed with. "Rias, if you would please," Naruto said. Rias nodded before walking over to the fallen angel and activating her power of destruction. Issei closed his eyes as Rias annihilated her. Soon after, 2 rings came floating dozen from the sky and landed in Issei's hand. Remembering what happened when a sacred gear was removed, he quickly ran over to Asia, who was laying on the bench, and put it back on her. They waited a while and nothing happened. After that, Issei's eyes began to water, and he broke down crying on Asia's dead body. Naruto and the rest of the peerage looked on in pity. It was sad, really. He gauged Issei's emotions and saw that he was in desperation right now. It was terrible. The one girl who Issei actually appreciated enough not to be perverted around and risked his life for turns out dead. Rias once again surprised them today and pulled out a bishop. "Hey, there's no need to cry, look," she said, holding the chess piece in front of his face. "Why you mean?" he croaked out. She nodded and placed the bishop on her chest and recited, "I, Rias Gremry, command the Asia Argento to rise once again and serve me as my bishop, embrace your new life as a devil." A magic circle appeared underneath Asia and the piece was dissolved into her body. She slowly opened up her eyes, while Issei was making sure this was real or not. "Issei-san, what happened?" He responded by hugging her fiercely and saying it was good that she was alive. The sudden contact made her blush while she sat there enjoying the feeling. Naruto had to smile at that. What a happy way to end tonight's events. It looked like Issei had a nice girl to keep him grounded and stop him from being so perverted now. He wondered absent-mindedly if someone for him was like that in this world. He was so lost in thought he failed to notice the black cat looking at him from the shadows with a predatory grin on its face. After that incident involving the fallen angels, something started to change. First of, Asia didn't have a place to stay, so she decided to stay at Issei's house since she seemingly felt more protected and safe around Issei. Asia was a great addition to the group. She was the nicest and most kindest person Naruto had ever met. Naruto thought because of this innocence she seemed to radiate off of her. Issei was trying to show a little restraint and treat her more like a little sister. Asia was also a good addition to Rias' peerage because she was a healer. Having the sacred gear Twilight Healing to heal your injuries while you battle was a big plus on the team. Also, they went out to get these creatures called familiars for Issei and Asia. These familiars were creatures that varied in species that you could summon to aid you. It turned out that the student council also wanted to get their own familiars too and challenged Rias' peerage to a sports contest to decide who was to go to, since you could only go once this time of the month. Sona seemed to have gotten a new pawn too named Saji, who tried to make a move on Asia, but was stopped by Issei. Man, it was good that Issei was looking out for her. This was a side he never thought he would see of Issei. Sona and Naruto talked a little too. She seemed upset that he couldn't be reincarnated, but they still had a pleasant conversation about some stuff in school. Rias, Akino, Sona, and Sona's queen all squared off in tennis. It was a really big event and everyone was there. In fact, everyone was so excited to see the great one Isamus that they somehow missed them doing magic in order to win. After that ended in a draw because the tennis rackets along with the court was destroyed. They had team battle in dodgeball, and Rias managed to win. In the forest, thanks to some weird dude that rhymed like B did when he rapped, Asia was able to find a small blue dragon who shot out lighting for a familiar. Issei had wanted a slime that popped out of nowhere and ripped of the girl's clothes. When that happened, Naruto froze in place. He had never seen a girl's breasts before, and he had to say after seeing Akino's and Rias, he really liked them. After he realized he was staring, Naruto turned away, not trying to seem perverted. After the girls and Kiba managed to destroy the slime, Issei wept like a baby for not being able to have something that would remove women's clothing, so he went back familiarless that night. There was also some news that actually shocked him to the core, and it was that Issei had finally gotten a pact. Well, after Rias offered Issei to grope her if he actually did a contract. Rias also had to go on the job with him, so. Well, all that mattered was that Issei finally managed to get a pact, and maybe this would get him rolling. Rias also decided to start Issei's training, and man did Issei need it. The guy probably couldn't do 10 pull-ups without tiring himself out. On a side note, Rias looked rather distracted lately. Naruto would catch her staring off into space for no reason. He tried asking her what was wrong, but she always waved him off and went on like nothing happened. He gauged her emotions and there was a mixture of anxiousness, sadness, and anger within her. Naruto hoped it would be resolved soon. The whole peerage was starting to worry about her. Right now, though, he was learning how to play chess, and the person who was teaching him was none other than Akino. It wasn't really a surprise because she had been sticking around him a lot for teasing opportunities, and sometimes they would sit down and actually talk and have fun. So far, Naruto had seen 2 sides of her, which were the teasing playful side, that he figured out she used on him a lot, and the actually normal and caring side, even though it was rare that she showed it, like the genuine relief he saw on her face when she saw that none of the peerage was harmed after fighting the fallen angels. He had the opportunity to properly evaluate them emotionally now that he was closer to them, and didn't have to hide from them while at school. It turned out that every one of them had some sort of bad emotions and hatred for something except for Rias and Issei. Surprisingly, even Akino held a huge hatred inside of her for some reason. He wondered what could have caused that she was always such a cheerful and fun person. "No, Naruto-kun, that piece moves in AL shape like this," she said before taking his rook. "Damn, Akino-chan, you're like awesome at this," Naruto exclaimed. She giggled, placing a hand over her mouth. "I am pretty good, Bucho, and I started to play chess since we were kids, but it also helps that you're really bad," she said, smiling her pretty smile. Naruto held his head down dejectedly. "So hurtful, Akino-chan." She just continued to giggle at his antics. "Don't worry about it, Naruto, you're new to the game, you'll get better eventually," said Kiba, sipping his tea next to Kaneko, who was eating sweets. His head rose up. "I guess you're right, and I won't stop until I beat you," he declared, pointing at Akino. Era determined are we?" she asked with a challenging smirk. Just as Naruto was about to say something back, Issei stumbled into the room, panting heavily with Rias and Asia behind him. "He's getting better, but he still has a ways to go before he can do any hard hitting," she reported to them while Asia squatted down next to Issei to check for injuries. Rias then walked past all of them and sat in her chair at the front of the room. She then turned and looked out the window once again. Naruto had about enough of this, and was going to call her out on it so that they could finally get some answers. Before he could though, a magic circle popped up and a woman with long silver hair tied up into 2 ponytails with blue ribbons came out. She wore red lipstick and looked to be in her 20s, and to top it all off she wore a maid outfit. Naruto had to admit she looked very beautiful. "My lady, I've come to talk about some important business," she said in a serious tone. "We have nothing to discuss, it won't happen," Rias replied, not even looking at her. Okay, what was going on here? Who was this lady, and why was she talking to Rias like some sort of king? "My lady, sure," she stated before getting cut off by another magic circle appearing in the room. This one was orange and had different patterns on it than the one he had seen before. A man appeared in big flash of fire. He had blonde hair spiked up only in the middle. He had blue eyes with heavy bags underneath them. He wore a dark red blazer with a white shirt and a button undone to show some of his chest. "My dear Rias, I've come to visit you," he said, smiling cockily. "Who is he?" Naruto asked. Grafia looked over to him and raised an eyebrow, but she recognized who this was. Recently Rias had reported to her brother that a strong mage with silver hair and blue eyes had allied himself with her peerage. Of course, Grafia, as his wife and queen, was let in on the information too. She assumed this was him and answered his question. "This is Lord Phoenix-sama, third in line to the House of Phoenix. He is also Rias-sama's fiancé." Everyone stared on in shock. Kiba's hand left the teacup and it smashed onto the floor. Akino looked at them, her hand frozen with chess piece in it trembling. Issei, who just recovered, slumped to the floor again in shock. Asia had her hands held to her mouth, her eyes going wide at the revelation. Later, Riser was sitting on the couch sipping some tea. "Riser is hurt. You didn't tell them about me, Rias. We are getting married after all," he said, moving his hand up her leg. Naruto, anger along with the rest of the peerage, started to rise. Who did he think he was, feeling her up like that in a place like this? Rias suddenly stood up. "I'm not marrying you, Riser. Why do you to be such a pain and keep pursing me? It would be better if we just break this off," she said, facing away from him. "You know we can't do that. Making sure that devils stay pure-blooded is top priority now that our numbers have weakened drastically. Rias would still not give, and I don't care if purebloods are dying out. I will marry who I chose. End of discussion, Riser," she said, turning to face defiantly once more. Suddenly she felt a hand cup her chin. "Riser doesn't think that is possibly, my dear Rias. Riser will have his bride even if he has to burn everyone here," he said, a fire in his eyes. The whole peerage got into battle stances besides Naruto, who just sat there on the couch staring at this pathetic excuse for a man. Who could take a guy that refers to himself in the third person seriously anyway? Naruto hated people like him. If he recalled correctly, the Phoenix family was one of the last of 72 pillars left after the wars ended. That meant that this guy was rich, arrogant, and was spoiled like no tomorrow. "As the moderator for this meeting, I can't let you do that, Riser-sama," Grafia said from behind them. Riser immediately backed up, a sheepish expression in his face. "Even I, the great Riser, would not be brave enough to take on the ultimate queen of Lucifer-samas himself. My future brother-in-law wouldn't be happy with my actions if I were to attack," Riser said, backing off. Wait, did you just say that Rias has a brother, and he's the strongest Satan in the underworld?" Naruto asked, while Issei and Asia looked in awe. "Oh, and who might you be?" Riser turned to Grafia. "What is a lowly human doing here?" he asked her, not deeming Naruto worthy enough to ask directly. "He is a magician and a friend of mine, just like very one else in my peerage. He can be here," Rias stated. Riser nodded, not really caring. "My master anticipated that his would happen, and that if Rias-sama refused to marry Riser-sama that they would settle it by doing a rating game," Grafia said. Rating game, that was a thing that noble devils did with their peerage members, if he heard Rias correctly. I have to say, my dear Rias, is this really all your peerage has to offer? He said, snapping his fingers. Suddenly the same phoenix magic circle appeared and out came 15 girls, all very beautiful or cute in their own way. Issei started to scream about how lucky Riser was and what he would do for a harem. Damn it, Issei, just once take it seriously. Oh, so you want a harem? He said, smirking. Yebelina, he said. Yes, Lord Riser, she replied. A girl with wavy dark purple hair walked up to him, and they started to make out passionately, shocking everyone. Once he was finished, Riser started to knead her breast. You'll never have what I do, he said mockingly. Naruto was at his breaking point. This guy was really going to come in here and demand that Rias marry him. Marriage should be about love and passion, not because of trying to keep a bloodline pure. Then he had the audacity to declare he had a harem and started to make out with one of them in front of his future wife? What was worse was that the girl seemingly enjoyed it. What was up with these people? Listen, I don't care if you're a phoenix or not doing all the shit you are now. It's disrespectful in front of any wife, and you don't deserve anyone after what you've shown us, Naruto said, standing up. Yeah, I agree with Naruto. I'll beat you to a pulp if you even think about having Bucho marry you, Issei said, activating his sacred gear. Riser looked mad as he let go of his servant. You dare insult me? I'm the great Riser and you'll pay for what you said, screamed Riser, lighting his hands on fire, and dashed at Issei. Before anyone could blink though, Naruto appeared in front of Riser, grabbing his punch one-handed. Unhand me, you worthless human, he yelled. Make me, he said daringly. Enough. Riser-sama, if you have another outburst like that, I'll tell Surzek-sama, Grafia said. They both growled, looking into each other's eyes before backing off. My dear Rias, as my wedding gift to you, I'll let your peerage train for 2 weeks before the games begin. Goodbye, he said before teleporting away with his peerage members. Shit just got a lot more complicated. The next day, Naruto was currently in his last class for today, his mind not even paying attention to the lesson. He was so mad and annoyed right now. First, that stupid Riser prick comes in and ruins everything, but now Rias won't even let him train her peerage. When he asked Rias why, she said that she had to be the one to do it. What Naruto didn't know was that her parents had actually set this up on purpose. They knew that Rias would lose in a rating game to Riser no matter what, so that's why they put it in place. They didn't think she was strong or smart enough to outgun Riser, so as such they deemed her unfit to choose a husband for herself. It was selfish, yes, but she would prove to her parents that she was capable without anyone's help. Also, not only that, but it might have been a violation of code. Since Naruto wasn't technically in her peerage, he wasn't allowed to go. Your strength was supposed to be yours only in this game, and Naruto was an unknown variable, and an outside source that would be considered cheating if they got help from him. If Riser caught wind, he could declare the march to start before they were ready. So here he was stuck in French, staring off into space, his mind wondering what to do. Ring. Alright class, remember to practice future tense conjugations, Naruto heard the teacher say before he rushed out of the room. On a side note, he didn't have anything to do. Without the peerage there were no kick-ass missions to go on, and he was bored as hell. He was walking back to his apartment intent on watching some more of his favorite show, The Walking Dead. There was so much great stuff in this world, he would have never enjoyed any of this stuff in Konoha. Taking a short cut through the forest, Naruto sighed and stopped. Whoever you are, come out, I know you're there, he called out. A girl with long dark black hair and slitted yellow eyes came into view, laying on a tree. She also had black cat ears and a tail. She was wearing a revealing black kimono, with a yellow cloth tied around her waist and some weird-looking balls tied to the end of them. She had a very good-looking figure that Naruto found attractive. Was every woman in this world sexy as hell? You managed to spot me. Well, it's not a surprise considering who you are, Whiskers-kun. Naya. Really, first Foxy-kun, now Whiskers-kun. Why does everyone always care so much about his whiskers? Who am I exactly? He asked. According to your school record, you're just a normal student named Uzumaki Naruto. But I know that's not what you really are, Naya. Naruto titled his head and looked at her. She looked like to be a Nekashu from the feeling of chakra and nature energy she have off. So you know that I can use senjutsu? She nodded. What I'm wondering is how can a human utilize chakra and senjutsu, Naya? That verbal tick was adorable, but he just answered her question with a shrug. I was just born this way, he said, not really thinking this girl was a threat. She kind of looked interestedly at Naruto. Your power is amazing for that of a human, and you have senjutsu too. I also sense you're hiding back a lot of power. She started smiling coyly, but honestly she didn't know how much more of his power he was hiding. You see, I'm with the fallen angels, and she was cut off when Naruto moved behind her so quickly she would have sworn he wasn't there in the first place. He placed a kunai to her neck and got rid of his happy persona. What do the fallen angels? If she was startled, she didn't show it, In fact, she seemed to be happy about how quick he was. Oh come on Whiskers-kun, you don't think I am with those stupid fallen angels that disobeyed orders and caused problems for your friends? Naya, she said. Naruto seemed to think for a moment. He guessed it was really possibly that all fallen angels weren't all bad, and that little group was acting independently. He couldn't hear any deception in her voice either. He slowly moved the kunai away from her neck and asked, "Alright, what do you want though?" he said, putting his kunai back up. "Simple, I just want to play Naya," she said slowly while trailing her hands down her body. Naruto blushed and looked away at the implications. You went to the wrong guy, I don't even know your name," he said, sitting on the branch, back against the tree. She looked at him mischievously. "My name is Kuroka, and why can't you play with me?" "I just wanted to spar Naya," she said, loving the startled look on his face. "Oh, spar, yeah, I can spar, but why would you come out here just to spar with me?" he said suspiciously. "Let's just say I'm very interested in you, Naruto-kun, very interested, Naya," she said, leaning closer to him. Naruto shivered at her tone and backed away. Why did this girl show up? He already had Akino teasing him like crazy, now her too. Sure, we can spar if you want to," he said awkwardly. She smiled at him. "As a bonus, I'll take you to the Fallen Angel headquarters for dinner, Naya." He looked to the side. On one hand, it would be cool to see what was up with the Fallen Angels and what they did. On the other hand, this could be a trap for him. His senses were saying this girl wasn't lying and she wanted to do all those things, but you could never be too careful. Even if she was lying, Naruto would just use his powers to get out of it, so he agreed. "Okay, let's go. It would be fun to go against a girl who could use senjutsu. This fight was going to be his toughest yet." "Alright, let's roll, Kuroka," he yelled. She gave him a teasing smile and disappeared from view, and Naruto had to bend backwards to avoid a kick aimed at his face. He jumped off the branch and landed on the ground, blocking a punch to his chest. Despite the delicate appearance that this girl had, she was incredibly strong and fast. Naruto actually had to put some effort in blocking her attacks. He quickly back up for a moment, activating Sage Mode. Now that he had the Sage's body, he could pretty much activate Sage Mode just as fast as Hashirama. She swiped at him with her hand but leaned a little to the right to avoid it. Naruto decided to aim kick at her side. She actually managed to block it. Naruto wasn't anywhere close to his full strength, but he still put a good amount of force behind that kick. She grabbed him by his leg and threw him against a tree. He managed to correct himself and stick to the tree with chakra. "Interesting, I've never seen anyone use chakra like that, Naya," she said. He pushed off the tree and aimed a kick at her face. She ducked and tried to hit him in the air where he couldn't move, but he disappeared and kicked her on her back. She grunted from the impact of the kick but still held strong. Her hand started to glow, and she said, "Let's kick this up a notch." She rushed at him with a faster speed than she showed before and tried to jab him in the chest. He jumped up, narrowly avoiding the strike, and threw 3 kunai at her. She batted them all away with her hand. She jumped up to meet him in the air and tried once again to stab him. He smirked and flipped his body in midair and delivered a hard axe kick to her head. She let out a noise before crashing into the earth, scattering dirt everywhere. Naruto landed on the ground thinking he overdid it a little. When the dust, he was surprised to see her unharmed and running towards him. She left a crucial opening and Naruto took advantage by dodging her punch and then delivered him on to her face. Imagine his surprise when his hand passed right through. His eyes widened in illusion. He was always bad at genjutsu, and now it cost him a little. When he turned around, he felt a hand push into his chest and he skidded back a little, but otherwise was perfectly fine. "What? You should be on the floor right now, that should have severed your ki flow," she yelled. "Ki flow?" Naruto asked. She backflipped onto a tree branch. "Ki is the thing that is inside every species on this world, but now that I'm searching for it in you, I can't find anything." She actually showed surprise at this. He shouldn't be able to live without ki, but he was perfectly alive and breathing. Naruto understood what this meant. This ki was like the chakra system in his world. Instead of ki flow, he had chakra inside him keeping him alive. The technique she was using was similar to the gentle fist. She tried to jab him and sever his ki flow like the gentle fist attacked the chakra system and stopped chakra flow. He had chakra for a replacement for ki, so this didn't work on him. "No matter, let's see how you do about this," she yelled, tapping some purple symbols in the air. Suddenly there came a thick purple gas, and it descended upon Naruto. He could feel Kurama working on getting rid of the poison. "This is some really strong stuff, but I should be able to get rid of it," Kurama said inside of his head. "You're immune to my poison too, you're just too interesting, Naruto-kun," she said, raising her hand. Suddenly he felt a great weight upon him as he was forced to one knee. "What the hell?" he asked through gritted teeth from the pressure. She giggled and gave him a grin. "They say true senjutsu masters can control time and space. I can't control time yet, but as you can see, I have mastered space." "Gravity?" Damn, it felt like he had a dozen houses on him, or something. Fortunately for Naruto, his training with the Rinnegan had paid off. Unlike Pain, who had only the sage's eyes, Naruto had the body too. So unlike Pain, he could use gravity control for a lot longer, and with no delay. He was currently working out a way to fly using his powers with gravity, but he hadn't quite finished it yet. On a side note, he still had some powers to master, like bringing back people from the dead. With the sage's body, Naruto wouldn't die from the backlash either. Even if he didn't, he was immortal anyways. He activated eyes for a minute to counteract the gravity that was pushing on him. He rose up from the ground, earning a crazy look from Kuroka. "Oh my Lucifer, that is really incredible, Naruto-kun." Naya, she said, certainly impressed that a human could do what she did. "Thanks, but let's get this over with," he said, deactivating his eyes as he pressure lifted off of him. He looked up and dashed towards her so fast she couldn't even see him. She got hit in the stomach hard and crashed through several trees. She unsteadily stood up. That kick she was hit with really took a lot out of her. She only had time to blink before she was hit in the side and throw up against a tree. She lied there, her vision getting blurry. All she saw Naruto before it all went black. Naruto looked down her, seemingly impressed. She was deadly. She was the toughest opponent he had faced yet. He bent down and picked her up bridal style and laid her down on one of the broken logs before sitting down to meditate. Kuroka woke up groggily, rubbing her head as she sat up. All the memories with Naruto came rushing back to her. She sat up and looked around. She saw him looking at her, a smile plastered onto his face with. She looked surprised for a moment before she smiled wickedly. "So, do I get my prize?" he asked, a little cockiness in his voice. She just grinned at him and pressed herself against him. She had finally found someone strong enough she could marry. "Yes, you do, and a little extra if you want, Naya." Naruto froze at the tone. No matter how many times people teased him, he couldn't stop blushing. She then leaned closer to him and pushed him off the log. "What the hell was that for?" he yelled, standing up. She giggled and walked over to him. She grabbed him by his collar. He shivered when her tongue came out and ran over his whisker marks. "Forgive me, Naya?" she said innocently. He backed away from her. "Why, yeah, can we just go get dinner?" he said shakily. She smirked at him. "Yes, let's go, and I'll personally give you dessert, Naya," she said in the same sexy tone. A magic circle came from beneath them, and they were gone. Grigori HQ. As the room came into view, Naruto looked around. The place looked like an old castle. There were fallen angels talking and laughing, drinking beer and such. This place was a lot more lively than he expected it to be. "Yo, what's up, Kuroka?" Who's the new guy?" said a man with short light hair, wearing some sort of armor. "He's someone really important, Biko. Would you be nice enough to tell Azazel that we have a guest for dinner tonight, Naya?" she said, looking at Naruto. Biko looked in between them, confused as hell, but nonetheless complied. "This place looks pretty cool," Naruto said, looking around. "See, I told you not all fallen angels are bad, Naya." He nodded. The people here seemed happy, but they were a bit rowdy. It was like one of those bars Erosenin took him to. You can bring your friend with us to eat, Kuroka," said Biko, coming up behind them. "Excellent, let's go then, Naya," she said, walking in front of them, heading towards the door, swaying her hips slightly. Naruto and Biko went after her. "So how did you meet Kuroka anyway?" Biko asked lowly as to not draw Kuroka's attention. Well, the crazy thing is that she said I caught her attention and then we spared. She said if I won she would treat me dinner, so here I am," he said, shrugging. Biko, on the other hand, looked horrified. "Why, you mean you beat Kuroka and she was the one who asked you?" he said. On one hand, he was impressed. He couldn't feel any supernatural feeling coming from this guy, so that meant he was human and beat Kuroka, who was stronger than himself. On the other hand, the poor sap didn't even know what he got himself into. Just as he was about to tell him to get the fuck out of here, Kuroka spoke up. "We're here, ready to eat?" "Naya?" she asked, turning to them. "Yeah, I'm starving," Naruto exclaimed, holding his stomach. Kuroka giggled and then opened the door. Sitting in the front of the room was a guy with blonde and black hair and a goatee. He was wearing a red coat and black pants. Next to him there was a man with silver hair and blue eyes just like Naruto's. He was wearing a black jacket with a green shirt and black pants. "Biko told me we would have a guest today, so let me introduce myself. I'm Azazel, one of the leaders of Grigori and the Fallen Angels. This guy right next to me is Vala, and you are?" said Azazel with a warm invitation. "Uzumaki Naruto, our magician," Naruto explained. "Please take a seat, dinner will be served shortly," Azazel said. Shortly dinner was served and Naruto thought it was delicious. He had personally asked for some ramen, and boy did they deliver. He talked to some of the people at the table. Azazel seemed laid back and chill. Biko was funny and easily excited like himself, and Vala was pretty distant, not caring about the conversation, and only said a few things. As they finished their food, Naruto was dying to ask Azazel some questions that had been on his mind since he entered this place. "Yo Azazel, I was just wondering what you know about Issei Hayate," Because I found some of your fallen angels trying to kill him, he said. Many were confused as to why he would speak too casually about that. Issei Hayadu? I sent Ryanra to observe him because I suspected that he might have a sacred gear that would be dangerous. It looks like Ryan disobeyed my orders and tried to kill him. I take it you dealt with her? He responded. Naruto knew he was telling the truth and nodded. Yeah, she's dead and I have some news that you might want to hear. One of you members Kokubil betrayed you. He was the one who ordered Ryanra to kill Issei. Everyone was surprised by that except Azazel. He sighed. I'm aware of it, he defected a couple of weeks ago. I tried to keep it under wraps so it wouldn't cause an outburst. He said. Naruto nodded. There sure were quite a bit of traitors in the faction. But I'll deal with that. Tell me how you and Kuroka met each other. He said, interlacing his fingers. Well, I was walking home after school and she said she wanted to spar with me for some reason. Once again everyone became surprised at what this meant. So we sparred and I ended up winning. I knocked her out and beat her in the end. Azazel looked on, grinning, a glint in his eyes. Vala looked a little surprised at the information. If he beat Kuroka, maybe Naruto was another strong opponent that was worth fighting and he would finally stop being asked to marry Kuroka for good. Even though Biko already heard this information, he couldn't help choke on his water. Ah, I see, so Kuroka found another candidate for marriage? Azazel asked, laughing internally at Naruto's frozen face. And the marriage? What the hell are you talking about? Azazel just kept grinning. Kuroka here admires strength, and she considers herself strong. She is looking for someone as strong or stronger than her to marry her, he said, trying to hold back his laughter. Naruto just sat there, his mouth open, frozen in place for minutes. He was snapped out of his stupor when cold water hit his face. He shook his head side to side. What the hell? I can't get married, he screamed. Kuroka pouted cutely and looked up at Naruto. Why am I not good enough for you, Naya? Fake anger seeping into her voice. And no, that's not it at all, it's just, I want to get married to someone I love, not someone I just met, Naruto said. Oh, you'll get plenty of time to get to know me, Naruto-kun. Naya, she said in a low tone. Naruto, for the life of him, couldn't stop blushing when she did stuff like that. He coughed. Isn't there any way we could take the spar session thing back? He asked, trying to resolve the situation. Vala snorted. Good luck with that. I repeatedly rejected her, and she never quit trying to pursue me. I just beat her in a spar just like you did, and she never stopped until now. Naruto ran through his options. This was insane. He was 17, damn it, he couldn't get married. A little part of him told him to go through with it since he could get a sexy-ass wife, but his logical side squished the idea. Damn, what choice did he have? He couldn't get married, but she wouldn't stop going after him until he did, so he was cornered. Came his reply before he suddenly dashed out the room. He thinks he can run away, that's cute, Naya, Kuroka said, following after him. Azazel just sat in his chair, grinning, clearly amused by the scene. He then sighed. He had a job for Kuroka to do, and from what he could tell, Naruto was really strong. He had been impressed when he heard that Naruto had beat Kuroka, but now that he was face to face with him, he could tell Naruto was some sort of strong being or entity. It had took him a while to figure out what his power level was because he hid it so well. Even then he couldn't fully determine how much power Naruto had. Thankfully Naruto was a good kid. He could see in Naruto's eyes there was a lot of hardship, but also there was a lot of warmth and compassion. Azazel didn't worry too much. He could tell Naruto was loyal to his friends. 10 minutes later. Kuroka was laid across Naruto's lap while Naruto just looked around awkwardly, trying to ignore the things she was doing to his lower areas. Azazel had wanted to keep the meeting confidential, but Kuroka refused to let go of Naruto, so Azazel reluctantly took Naruto into the room. I've called you here to discuss a matter that has recently popped up, Azazel said seriously. Naruto was a little startled at his voice. He seemed like such a laid-back guy. Some fallen angels have decided to betray me. My sources tell me they're working for Kokubil. It just so happens there's a lot of them, and some exorcists they have taken with them have some important sacred gears. He started. These sacred gears are probably a higher class sacred gear, and are very powerful. I want Kuroka to retrieve them and take out the traitors. They're located in Paris, France. Now be very careful, Kuroka. I don't want this sacred gear destroyed. It will aid me in my research to make an artificial one, Azazel said. Naruto looked excited at that. He really wanted to go, but he had something on his mind. I thought sacred gears were things you're born with. How are you going to make one? He asked. Vala is one of the sacred gear users I know, and his is too powerful to try and copy or tinker with. I was hoping if Kuroka got these, then the power level would be low enough to copy or simpler to understand, so it is imperative she get these gears so I can make some progress, he said. Naruto looked at Vala. He kind of noticed how he felt like Issei when he first saw him. Maybe he had one of the Longinus. Naruto then nodded. It sounded good to him. He could see that Azazel was trying to get his sacred gears from criminals, not innocent people. He could maybe get artificial sacred gear from Azazel one day, if he felt generous enough. Naruto then asked a question, can I go with her? He asked. He was going to be alone for the next 2 weeks anyway, so he might as well go and get to know his new friend. Why do you want to go? Asked Azazel. It's not like he would say no, he wouldn't want to deny a basically office level being or perhaps higher. I'm going to be alone for some time and I want something to do, plus just think of it as a helping hand. Naruto said, smiling. Or maybe he can't wait to spend time with me alone, Naya. Kuroka cut and snuggling herself into his chest. Naruto blushed at what she was doing and tried to keep his attention on Azazel. Of course you can go, Naruto, thanks for the help, I'll owe you one. Azazel said, wondering what Kuroka was going to do with the poor guy during the trip. Vala and Biko, I have some other stuff you guys need to attend to, Azazel said as Naruto and Kuroka walked out of the room. Azazel didn't know what to think. Naruto couldn't just go on to be unnoticed. He didn't know whether to inform everyone or keep it a secret, since who knows what news of another being like Office or Great Red could cause. He didn't look like he was a threat, and to be honest, Azazel kinda liked him, so he was leaning more towards the secret option. You ready to go? Naya. Kuroka asked. Yeah, let's roll. So Paris, how is it? Naruto asked as Kuroka was starting to prepare a magic circle. Paris is one of the most beautiful cities in the world. I honestly think that Paris is the best city in the world. Epically at night, Naya. She responded with a small smile. Naruto thought back to what he had learned about this world. There were 7 different continents in this world, and France was in Europe. He had learned that Paris was indeed one of the most beautiful cities in the world, and that it had a great monument called the Eiffel Tower. The way Kuroka was talking about it so fondly though made him wonder how great this place really was. You know, they also call it the City of Love, Naya. She said, winking at him, a smirk coming into her face. Naruto blushed slightly, still not believing all that happened on the dinner table. They do, that's cool. I want to see it, so let's get going, he said, smiling to cover his embarrassment. Kuroka returned his smile. Alright then, let's go, Naya. She responded, activating the magic circle. In a flash of light they were gone. Forest outside of Paris. They blinked and looked at their surroundings. Naruto saw they were in a forest. He guessed it wouldn't be smart to just appear in the middle of a street with a bunch of people. How far away are we? Naruto asked, looking around. About a mile or 2, Naya. She responded. He grinned before yelling, I'll race you, and dashing off faster than a bullet. Kuroka stood there blinking rapidly at the dust cloud before screaming, wait up, Naya, and taking off after him. You could hear Naruto's laughter from a mile away as he dashed from tree to tree at lightning fast speed. He finally made his way out of the little forest and out onto the edge of a small cliff. His laughter came to a stop as he gazed upon the city known as Paris. His face was filled with wonder and awe as he looked at the beautiful city. It was around 3, so the sun was shining down on the land. The architecture was a little older, but it still looked beautiful. The designs looked complicated and carefully made. They were much smaller and had a more variety of color. There were rivers going through some parts of the city with nice, clear, and clean water. Having the sun reflecting off of it just made it look more beautiful. There was actually a lot of greenery in the city as well. The trees looked great, standing tall and strong. In the middle was probably the largest thing he had ever seen. The Eiffel Tower, that started off with 4 legs and eventually just came to be one part sticking up to the sky. It was huge. Even bigger than the skyscrapers in Japan. For a couple seconds he just stood there admiring the view of the city. Suddenly a panting Kuroka bust through the edge off the forest. You could have given me some time to get ready, Naya, she said, trying to catch her breath. Naruto shook his head and rubbed the back of his head while looking at her. Sorry, I get carried away sometimes. She sighed, then waved it off. No big deal, let's find these guys, then hopefully we can spend some time in the city, Naya, she said, looking at the amazing city with him. Hotel. Naruto and Kuroka arrived at one of the many hotels in Paris. Kuroka had managed to get them a 4-star hotel for traveling tourists. I'm so sorry, but all we have left is one of the couple suites on the 3rd floor, said the young Japanese woman in charge of the counter. It's fine, I was going to ask for one anyway, Naya, Kuroka responded while Naruto looked around nervously. Well then, that's perfect, here are your room keys, your number is 314. She said, handing Kuroka the keys and giving them a cheerful smile. Thank you, let's go, Naruto-kun and Naya, she said, walking up the stairs, Naruto following closely behind her. They came into the room and found it pretty impressive. It had a flat-screen TV, mini fridge, a nice clean bathroom, but only one bed. Guess that's why it was a couple's suite. Looks like we're sleeping together, Naya, she said, giving him a teasing smile. He blushed at the double meaning and gave a response, and no, it's okay, I'll just sleep on the floor or something, he said, rubbing the back of his neck awkwardly. She fake pouted. How disappointing. I really don't mind, the ground sounds really uncomfortable, Naya, she said, smirking at him. In actuality, she actually did mean that. It's not like it was a big deal to her or anything, but apparently Naruto thought it was courtesy. No, it's okay, I've slept in worse places than the couch, he said, laying down on the couch. She shrugged. Alright, but I gave you a chance, Naya, she said, taking the nice and luxurious bed for herself. Hey, at least he was nice to let her have it all to herself. The next morning, Kuroka's nose twitched as the smell of something good hit her nose. She got up while stretching her hand in air cutely. She rubbed her eyes with her hands like a cat would with its paws. She got up and walked to the door that led to the small little kitchen. She was surprised to see Naruto cooking, and had to ask, "What are you doing, Naya?" she asked, still a little tired. "Well, I'm just making breakfast. You want some? It just finished cooking," he responded while putting some eggs on a plate. Jiraiya forced him to eat something else other than ramen on their training trip. He was forced to learn how to cook more healthy foods so he could make some decent meals. She looked at him kind of confused before smiling. That was very considerate of him. "Thank you, I'll make sure to pay you back later, Naya," she said in seductive tone while sitting down. Naruto blushed and tried to roll his eyes in annoyance. Couldn't she have one normal conversation? He set the plate down in front of her. He hoped that she liked it. He wasn't exactly the best cook in the world. She picked up a piece of bacon and took a bite. Her eyes widened a tiny fraction. It wasn't the best food ever, but it was pretty good. "It's pretty good, Naruto-kun, and I might have you cook from now on, Naya," she said. It was good she found a mate who could cook. What women wouldn't like it if they got breakfast in bed from time to time? He was relieved the food wasn't complete trash, and decided to talk to her about the mission. "When should we start looking for the fallen angels?" he asked before putting some hash browns in his mouth. "Let's go look around for them at noon. They'll probably be on the move since it's the most busiest part of the day in order to blend in, Naya," said Kuroka. Naruto nodded and decided to enjoy his breakfast. Cafe. Naruto was really liking Paris. The city was beautiful. The streets were bustling with life. The houses looked amazing shining in the sun. Heck, even the roads and sidewalks looked amazing, all lined like a brick pathway. He had a little bit of a problem though. The people here were speaking very strangely. He had never heard of these kinds of sounds people were making to each other. It looked like these people were talking a totally different language. To his surprise though, Kuroka managed to know everything they were saying. Right now she had just talked to a waiter and ordered them tea. "How did you do that?" he said, getting confused. She giggled. "It's part of my abilities. I can understand any language, Naya," she responded. Naruto looked amazed, but then looked her up and down, then his eyes widened. "I can't believe I forgot about this. But what about your tail and ears? Shouldn't you hide them?" Naruto asked. "Don't worry, all it takes is a little illusion, and they can't see a thing. Though it's not high level, so I guess you can see them, Naya," she responded. He nodded and decided to get down to business. He placed his tea down and looked at her. "So do we know where these sacred gear users are at?" She sighed. "Unfortunately no, and this city is huge. I tried searching for them using senjutsu, but my range can't cover a huge distance, Naya." He nodded and said, "Let me give it a try." She looked at him as the area around his eyes turned organish red. She felt his power as he checked the surrounding area. She knew that he could probably find them. He was probably the only person better than her at senjutsu. His eyes open, found some fallen angels. They're about 3 miles west. He also noticed many other energy signatures. Devils and fallen angels had kind of the same aura, but these ones felt pure, nice, and comforting. She smiled and set down some money. "Let's get going. I'm looking forward to a date after all this, Naya." Naruto choked on his tea. "A date? You want to go on a date?" he said, a little taken back. "Of course I do. We're in the most amazing city in the world and you wouldn't take me out to eat, Naya," she said, pouting and inwardly laughing at his face as he started to sweat. He started spewing nonsense before Kuroka shut him up. "We can talk about that later. Let's go confront these fallen angels, Naya," saving him from further embarrassment. Streets of Paris. After using Naruto's amazing sensing abilities, they found the fallen angels pretty quickly. Currently they were tailing 2 men. One of them had black spiky hair and green eyes, the other had smooth blonde hair with brown eyes. The first one was wearing a black jacket with a white shirt and black pants. The other was a blue coat with a yellow shirt and back pants. They were walking and talking about random things. Naruto and Kuroka needed to get them into a secluded area so they could confront them. "How do we get them off the street?" Naruto asked, walking beside Kuroka. She smirked. "Leave it to me, Naya." She started walking faster and came up behind them. She suddenly bumped into them, making both of them stumble forward. "I'm so sorry, I didn't look where I was going," she said, giving them her most innocent smile. "Yeah, whatever, just look where you're going next time," the black-haired man said. She smiled again. "I will," she said before walking off, holding something in her hand. "Wait! That bitch took our money!" the blonde-haired one said, pointing at the wallets in Kuroka's hands. Kuroka started to dash off with the fallen angels behind her. Naruto took off after them. "Nice move," he thought, smiling while running after them. Kuroka managed to get them to follow her into one of the alleyways on the side of the street. She came to the dead end, and turned and looked at the two men behind them. You made a real mistake stealing from us, you bitch, said the blonde-haired one, sprouting his angel wings. Yeah, looks like you have nowhere to go. Too bad we have to kill someone as hot as you, the black-haired one said, grinning heavily. To their surprise, she just smirked and dropped their wallets while taking a lazy stance. You hurt me. That's funny, Naya. The fallen angels were getting angry at her attitude. We'll kill you, girl. Don't laugh at us, the blonde-haired one yelled. Why, you're hilarious, said a voice from behind them. Leaning on the wall was Naruto, grinning at them. Hey Kuroka, make sure you don't knock these guys out, we need answers. Kuroka nodded while dropping her illusion. A Nikomata? One of them asked. The fallen angels got back to back, both summoning spears of light. Kuroka dashed forward, avoiding the spear of light. She appeared right in front of the black-haired one and nailed him abdomen with a nasty kick. He went flying back into the side of the wall. Rishi! Yelled the blonde man, you're going to pay. He yelled, trying to swing his spear of light down on her. Before he could, though, a kick had been planted firmly on his back and he went flying also. As he tried to pick himself off the floor, he stumbled back and forth. He summoned another spear of light, trying to fight back, but screamed when a kunai went through his wrist and pinned his hand against the wall. Look, I don't want to hurt you any more than I have. Tell us what you know about the stray exorcists with the sacred gears, Naruto said seriously. The man breathed in for a little bit before spitting on Naruto's face. Go to hell, he said, barely fighting back the pain. Naruto wipes the spit off his face and sighed. He hates this kind of stuff, but a mission was a mission. Naruto took another kunai and stabbed it into the man's other wrist. Ah! He screamed to the sky. Talk, Naruto said. Never, the man said through gritted teeth. The man's arms were pinned to the wall. Naruto charged his hands with electricity and zapped the man's chest. He screamed again, louder than before. It was a good thing he had put up those silencing seals. To the man's credit, he managed to last a couple zaps before he gave in. He must have been a firm believer of Kokobil's ways. The fallen angels are meeting in the St. Trinite Church tomorrow at 9. That's all I know, I swear, he said, panting as Naruto's hand moved away from his chest. He looked at the man with pity. Torturing people wasn't something he liked to do, but he needed the information. Naruto quickly knocked the man out and took the kunai out of his wrists. So, St. Trinite Church, Naya? Kuroka said, knocking out her opponent and bringing him to Naruto. He nodded. Tomorrow, we better hurry up and finish here, Naruto said. She nodded and prepared a magic circle to teleport the traitors back to Grigori. What are they up to? Naruto thought before he walked off with Kuroka beside him. Hotel. Naruto sat there thinking about what these fallen angels and the sacred gear users could be doing. He was alone in their hotel room, just staring out of the window. Man, was Kuroka was right. The buildings and street lights were shining with bright light in the nighttime air. It was quite nice to look at that. Speaking of Kuroka, he wondered where she was. He turned to find her right behind him, leaning on the bathroom door. His eyes widened when he looked at her. She wasn't wearing anything besides towel wrapped around her body. Her breasts were threatening to spill out of the towel too. Naruto's face went bright red. What are you doing? Naruto squeaked out. I'm just about to take a shower, Naya, she responded casually. Oh, that's okay, I guess, Naruto said, getting himself under control. He looked the other way as to not have a similar reaction. She smirked, walking up to him, and turned his head, forcibly making him look at her. He looked at her, a small blush coming onto his face. She suddenly said, Do you want to take a shower with me? It will save some water, Naya, she said in a seductive tone. When those words came out of her mouth, Naruto couldn't help but imagine a very naked Kuroka with hot water running all over her body. He could imagine those breasts of hers moving around while she washed them with that mischievous look she always had. His face went entirely red as a bulge started to grow in his black pants. He quickly jumped away from her and onto the bed, face first, trying to cover his area. Oh, you seem quite excited at that idea, Naya, Kuroka said, obviously taking note of his actions. He buried his head into the pillow, trying to forget those images. Wahaha, you're still getting flustered over silly shit like this. These women amuse me, though I suppose it's just as much as you who is still the little punk-ass kid who gets embarrassed by a little teasing. Kurama laughed from inside his head. Naruto grit his teeth. He would show Kurama. He was Naruto Uzumaki, the man who took down Akatsuki members, fought the nine-tailed fox and won, and defeated the Jubi. He looked at her calmly and decided that he was going to give her a little taste of her own medicine. Yeah, just take of that towel and we'll go. If you can? Naruto said, giving her a smirk. Kuroka was a little taken aback by his retort but grinned. She let the hand that was holding up her towel drop and watched Naruto's face go red as a tomato as he averted his eyes before the towel fell. Well, let's go, Naya. Damn, that backfired. He had no idea she would actually do it. That was the last time he let Kurama's insults get to him. Why would do that? Naruto said, not believing this girl would willingly get naked in front of him. I'm not ashamed of my body, Naruto-kun, Naya, she said. It was true she had even used her body in the past as distractions to opponents, and she would feel comfortable showing it off in front of anyone she wanted to. And never mind, just go take a shower, he said, still struggling to keep himself under control. Oh, how disappointing, maybe next time, Naya, she said, grabbing her towel off the floor and walking off to the bathroom. Naruto sighed in relief as she left. Man, this girl was something. He suddenly remembered something he had to do and bolted out of the room. Kuroka emerged from the shower 20 minutes later. She loved showering in the hot water and made her feel nice. She was surprised to see Naruto stumbling through the door with a box in his hands. What's that, Naya? She said, pointing to the small box in his hands. Oh, these are something for you, he said, handing her the box of sweets. Oh, a box of sweets, how romantic, Naya, she said, smiling at him. Naruto looked embarrassed. Well, I mean, you've been paying for the hotel since we got here, since all I had was some pocket change. I know it's not a lot, but I just want you to have it. Another Nekashu I know loves those types of sweets, he said enthusiastically. She looked down at the mention of her little sister. She guessed nobody has told him that the Nekashu were basically wiped out. Still, she smiled. It was really nice of him to think about stuff like that. She had a lot of money from all the missions she did, so it wasn't really a problem, but she guessed he was just kind like that. Thank you, I appreciate it, Naya. She wasn't exactly a romantic, and he just did it because he felt bad that she was paying for everything, but she would be lying if she didn't like getting chocolates from a guy. Despite her attractive looks, she had never experienced this before. This and cooking is the least I can do, he said, smiling at her. She nodded. Are you sure you don't want to sleep with me, Naya? She asked, going back to her playful self. Nah, it's good, you can have the bed, he said, lying in the couch and closing his eyes. Tomorrow was going to be hectic. St. Trinite Church. Naruto and Kuroka arrived on the scene 5 minutes before the meeting was supposed to start. Do you think the sacred gear users will be here? Naruto asked. I don't know, it's a possibility that they are here for the meeting or in hiding just in case, Naya, she said. They were both looking through a window on top of the roof. The building was really old, probably made a couple hundred years ago and abandoned. The fallen angels started to file into the room while Kuroka and Naruto started to mask their presence and listen in. What's the next step in Kokubile-sama's plan? Asked a fat man. Our goal is to reignite the great war between the factions, so as such we will need to cause a commotion with the angels in the area, said a skinny man with brown hair. Angels, Naruto thought. Were those the beings he felt when he entered Sage mode? How about the devils? What will we do with them? The same fat man asked. Kokubile-sama said he would deal with the devils soon enough and that we should focus on the angels, said the skinny man. Naruto thought he better warn Rias as soon as he got home. What are we going to do? Asked a man with black hair. Simple, all we need to do is destroy one of the most precious things they own and the angels will start begging for a war, said the same skinny man. Precious things? Said a man with blonde hair. We have information that the angel source of holy water is here in Paris. All of their holy water comes from inside the Sainte-Chapelle. Along with our sacred gear users, we'll take out the holy water. A war is sure to break out. They all cheered at that. Someone go deliver the news to our exorcists and fallen angels at the other church, said a brown-haired man. Right away, sir, said a man dressed in a tux. The man then decided to fly out a window in the corner in order to reach the sacred gear users. Fuck the peace, the fallen angels deserve to rule all of heaven, earth, and hell, someone yelled and received a large cheer in return. Naruto and Kuroka were absorbing everything they had learned. They were trying to start a war to rule the other worlds. Naruto couldn't help but be furious, all the death, destruction, and chaos just to become number one. It was beyond stupid. War was a terrible thing and there was no way he was going to let it happen. Come on, Kuroka, we need to prepare for the attack, Naruto said, walking down the roof. Kuroka quickly followed, but suddenly the roof gave out beneath her and she started to fall. Naruto quickly ran over and grabbed her arm before she fell. It's alright, I got you, he said, pulling her up. It's not like she needed help, but the author decided to make it like a cheesy romance movie. Thanks for the save, looks like I can count on you, Naya, she said, getting close to him and putting a hand on his chest. Naruto was about to show his embarrassment, but he heard a shout, someone's out there. Damn, that roof breaking must have caught their attention. Suddenly a huge amount of fallen angels came crashing through the window, smashing the stained glass into a million pieces. Who are you people? Said the head fallen angel. Don't worry about it, you won't be alive long enough to be worth it, Naya, said Kuroka, giving them a snarky response. Their anger was rising. It doesn't matter who you are, you're going to die right here. We can't let our plans get out, said the man with the black hair. When Azazel said a lot, he didn't that there to be around 100. But it made sense. Kokubile was a leader of Grigori and had a lot of sway. They all summoned spears of light and grinned evilly. Kill them! Yelled the fallen angel, swiping his hand forward. At once they all threw their spears of light at the same time at Kuroka and Naruto. Kuroka made a move to dodge, but before she could, Naruto stepped in front of her. He started going through hand signs before yelling wood style, domed wall jutsu. Suddenly wood bursted out of the roof and created a dome around both of them. All of the spears stabbed into the wood but couldn't break through. This is new Naya. Surprised that he could do this kind of thing. Yeah, but once this wall goes down, you think you can handle the ones when they're right? She grinned. Of course I can, Naya. He nodded and let the jutsu go. Never seen anyone do magic like that before, said one fallen angel. Doesn't matter, just kill him, said another. Naruto and Kuroka looked at each other before smiling and dashing off towards the fallen angels. Hundreds of light spears were thrown at them. They dodged around all the spears, dashing left and right. Scattered pieces of the rooftop went flying in all directions. Naruto could see Kuroka engage dozens of fallen angels in hand-to-hand combat out of the corner of his eye, her senjutsu-enhanced strength bulldozing straight through them. Naruto returned his focus to the opponents in front of him. He went through some signs as the fallen angels started to summon more spears of light. Earth-style, dark chasm jutsu. Naruto yelled before slamming his hands into the floor. The fallen angels began to stumble as the roof beneath them began to shake. Suddenly the roof split open and some and the fallen angels started to fall through. Naruto grinned as they fell down. He managed to take out a huge chunk of them there. He stopped grinning when they just flew back up. You know we're fallen angels, right, kid? Said a fallen angel mockingly while everyone else laughed. Naruto's sweat dropped. Yeah, forgot they could do that. He thought before he was forced to dodge out of the way of a light spear. How about this water style, water bullet jutsu? He said before he spewed a large amount of water from his mouth. The attack hit dead on and the fallen angels got hit hard by the strong torrent of water coming their way. As the fallen angels started to get up, Naruto made a cross seal with his hands, shadow clone jutsu. He said before a clone popped up next to him. They both started going through signs, fire style, great fireball jutsu / wind style, great breakthrough, said both of the Narutos before exhaling a large gust of wind and a fireball. When the attack hit, a huge dun of fire erupted and even Kuroka's opponents turned to look at the blast. The attack destroyed a huge part of the church. As the smoke cleared, the fallen angels were on guard after seeing what Naruto could do. They were surprised to see him gone as the dust finally settled. They ran away. Laughed a fallen angel. The others started to laugh along with him, getting their confidence back. Then it all went away as soon as they saw a yellow flash come behind the fallen angel who made the comment. They became even more horrified when a kunai found its way through his throat. Naruto turned around and started dashing into the heart of the small group. He slashed left and right with a wind chakra-infused kunai, breaking the spears of light that came his way. There was no mercy. The fallen angels couldn't hit him no matter how hard they tried, and Naruto just cut them down one after another. The few fallen angels that were standing were wet, all about to piss their pants. Naruto jumped back, deciding to finish his openly soft with one move. He placed his palms on the floor before saying wind style, geyser eruption jutsu. The roof broke underneath the fallen angels' feet, and out came a huge pillar of swirling air, the force so great it broke apart other pieces of the church and sucked it into the mini tornado. After the jutsu died down, Naruto took a look around. It looked like all his opponents wet dead or took such a beating they wouldn't remember what happened in the morning. He turned around just to see Kuroka stick her fingers into someone's chest, killing them by severing their ki flow. That went a lot smoother with you, Naya, she said, wiping some blood off her hand. He smiled a little. You were pretty good too. She returned his smile. Thank you for the compliment, Naya. He nodded. We have to get to the Saint Chapelle and warm the angels, Naruto said once again serious. She agreed and they left behind quite a broken church and a very bloody scene. Saint Chapelle Church. Yujitsu, what is that? Naruto said, walking beside Kuroka. Yujitsu is a special style for the Ukai faction. Since it involves chakra, I think you can use it too, Naya, she informed him. He got all excited to be able to use a new technique. I can teach it to you, amongst other things, Naya, she said the last part in a suggestive tone. This time Naruto only blushed a little. It seems he was getting used to this kind of stuff with all the teasing. Oh, is that right? I would like it if you could teach it to me, he said, rubbing the back of his neck. She nodded. I would be glad to teach you everything I know, Naya. Using the same tone, Naruto quickly looked for something to distract himself, from the good-looking women beside him. Oh look, it's the church, we better get going, he said, and increasing his pace. She grinned, so innocent she thought, before catching up with him. Naruto managed to sneak himself and Kuroka in by using the body flicker technique. I can sense their energy signatures, follow me, Naruto said. As they were walking through the corridors they couldn't help but admire the chapel's beauty. There were gold-encrusted patterns going across the pure white marble walls and ceilings. The whole place was huge and looked extremely expensive. Here into this room, said Naruto. This room looked like someone lived here. Apart from the usual gold and marble, there was a very nice-looking desk to the side that contained some papers. In the very front there was a fireplace. There were some nice-looking green couches in the middle of the room, above a very old-looking carpet. I sensed them behind the wall, Naruto said. He walked over to wall and inspected it carefully. How do we get through, Naya? Kuroka asked. He backed away from the wall and said simple before punching the wall with a huge amount of force. That did the trick all right. The section of that wall was completely gone. Let's go, shall we? Naruto said before walking straight through the opening. She stood there surprised for a minute that he did such a thing before sighing and following after him. They stopped and froze at what was in front of them. Wow, look at all those stairs, said Naruto. There was a huge staircase leading down into the darkness. They couldn't tell how many there were, but it was a hell of a lot. Let's get going then, Naruto said while climbing down the stairs. As they finally made it down the stairs panting and sweaty from all the steps they had to go down, they looked up to see something amazing. Their eyes widened when they looked upon a huge dome with many trees and flowers inside it. In front of it, though, was a huge black and gold gate with 2 angels standing guard. Halt, you people do not belong here, said an angel with blue eyes and long brown hair. She looked to be wearing some priestess attire with a sword around her hip. I'm sorry, there is something really important I need to tell the angels, so could you take me to whoever is in charge of this place? Naruto said. While secretly looking at the angel, he looked at her glowing bright halo and the white angel wings that were coming out of her back. He had to say that this woman was beautiful. He guessed that's why she was angel. She looked at him too. It was easy to see the purity in his soul and the warmth he gave off. To be honest, she assumed this was the purest person she had ever seen, but she couldn't let him pass. She unsheathed her sword and pointed it at them. I'm sorry, only angels and top-tier priests can go in here. You can't come in here, especially not her, the angel said after sensing that Kuroka was a devil. What's the deal, bitch, Naya? Kuroka snarled at her after seeing the looks Naruto gave her. He was her mate. I don't like your language, and for your information, this is a sacred place to us angels, and we don't just let anyone in here, she said in a much more reserved tone. Look, we know the fallen angels are planning an attack on this place tomorrow. Just please let us in, we need to talk, he said in a slightly begging tone. Her eyes widened. An attack on the chapel. Naruto's face looked so urgent, and topped off with the purity, it was hard not to believe him. She bit her lip, then sighed and looked back. Open the gate, it's important. The angel guessed she could make an exception. It was an attack on sacred grounds after all. The other guard nodded and pulled a lever on the gate. The gates opened slowly to reveal the entrance of the dome. Follow me, said the angel while walking inside. Once inside the dome, they couldn't help but gasp. The place was amazing. Green grass was all over the ground with sidewalks going down some parts to lead to other places. There was a huge amount of flower of all colors and types all around. There was also a large amount of trees in different places. But the thing was, the dome had multiple levels, all complete with the greenery and the animals that were on the first level. The most noticeable thing, though, were the fountains. There were fountains everywhere. A lot of them were surrounded by the flowers and trees, and some were put in the center of where some sidewalks combined. It all in all looked like a very beautiful place. Genevieve-sama is out on that clearing, said the angel before turning around and leaving. Kuroka and Naruto walked into the clearing to see a huge camp set up. There were quite a few angels sitting around laughing and having fun. Who are you? Said one of them, and the rest of the angels turned to look at them. They became alarmed when they saw Kuroka was a devil and summoned spears of light. Naruto and Kuroka moves in a defensive position, please. We don't come to fight. We have some things to tell you. The angels hesitated at his sincere tone, but they remembered their duty. He could be working for this devil for all they knew. The guard let us in. We have some important information for someone named Genevieve, said Naruto. A woman with long curly black hair and green eyes came out of a tent. Like every other girl in this world, she had a busted figure. What surprised him a little was that she had 6 wings coming out her back. Yes, do you need something? She spoke with a lovely voice and a smile. Genevieve-sama, these people are intruders, we should att. An angel began, but Genevieve cut him off by raising her hand. Let's just hear them out, shall we? If they try to attack, we have the numbers, she said, motioning for Naruto to say what he wanted to say. Naruto nodded and said, we overheard a meeting with some Rouge fallen angels, and they are sending some sacred gear users to take this place. We know they are trying to ignite another great war, Naruto informed her. Her face became alarmed. How many are there? She asked, trying to gauge the threat. Naruto made a thinking face. Don't know. About half of them were killed thanks to me and my friend here. We think there are about 100 left, and some sacred gear users. We think the sacred gear users. The sacred gear users are not to be underestimated since Azazel warned us about them, Naruto said. She nodded, trying to look for deceit but couldn't find any. Just like the guard at the gate, she was quite taken aback by how pure he was. She knew he wasn't a fallen angel, or devil, probably just allied with one of them. Thank you for dealing with the fallen angels, and the tip, we will prepare for the attack. Naruto responded by saying, actually, we want to join in on the defense. Azazel told us to capture these scared gear users. She smiled at him. Thank you so much, child. We would be more than grateful for your help. Hey, all the more help the better, and if they were sent by one of the leaders of Grigori himself, they must be powerful. Everyone! We have enemies coming here tomorrow. Set up the defenses, yelled Genevieve. Immediately all the angels began moving around the camp fast and feverishly. Could you please follow me? Said Genevieve, going into one of the tents. They followed her inside to see it was quite roomy. I think we should be able to handle it. We have defensive systems and a good amount of angels too, the angel said as she looked towards them. I was expecting more angels. How come you have so little? Naruto asked. We kept this place a secret, and it hasn't been found out by anyone but the angels for centuries, so we don't have a huge army here. Even though this place is incredibly important, over the centuries we thought no one would attack, so angels started moving to other areas. I wonder how they could have found this place, she responded. I know you're already helping in the attack, but could you please help the angels set up the barricade? Genevieve asked politely. Kuroka sighed, but Naruto looked ready to help. Sure, we'll be glad to help out. How could he refuse such a nice woman? As they were about to leave, Genevieve said, one more thing, us three will be in the main water source area so we can defend the most crucial part of the system if it comes down to it. They both showed that they understood and left the tent. After they finished setting up the defense for the attack, an angel led them to a tent. Please, you have had a long night. Could we offer you a place to rest for the night? He said, pointing to the tent. Naruto thanked him. These people had been rather accepting. They both went inside the tent to see only one conveniently large sleeping bag. Looks like we're sleeping together, Naya, she said, smirking at Naruto. He swallowed. Why, yeah, I guess so. He looked to see her already laying down on her side, her hand propping up her head. You coming or what, Naya? He steeled himself and laid down on the bag. He immediately felt arms wrap around him. Tonight was going to be a long night. The next morning, Naruto woke up groggily, rubbing the sleep out of his eyes. As he tried to sit up, he noticed a heavy pressure on his chest. He looked up to see Kuroka sleeping softly on his chest. He actually didn't get embarrassed for once. Instead, he actually smiled at her peaceful face and how she was curled up in a ball, like a cat. He decided they needed to get to where Genevieve told them to go, so he needed to wake her up. Kuroka, get up, the fallen angels are going to come any time now, he said, shaking her gently. She stirred and sat up with one hand in the air, meowing like a cute kitten. While sitting on his chest, she looked down and grinned. Did you have a nice sleep, Naya? He rolled his eyes. Yeah, it was great. We have to go meet Genevieve, he said, trying to get up. She just pushed him back down and laid on top of him. She then moved her face close to his and said, let's just stay here for 5 more minutes, Naya, giving him a flirty smile. He blushed at the words. He might have been able to resist some of her teasing, but not this. Excuse me, but Genevieve-sama requests your presences, said an angel awkwardly at the entrance of the tent. Naruto thanked God for getting him out of that situation and responded right away. Kuroka? He said, looking at her. She huffed but complied, and they both stood up. Lead the way. Naruto smiled at the angel. Holy Water Main Center. Naruto were taken into a huge room on the top floor. The walls were lined with glass, and you could see water flowing along the bottom of it, kind of like an aquarium. At the center was a huge fountain almost as tall as the Hokage Tower. Naruto guessed this was the main source of holy water. Genevieve was trailing her hands in the water. This is where all the holy water comes from in the world. This place was made by King Louis IX in 1294. He was one of the most firmest believers in God. Holy water is a way for humans to cleanse their sins and are used by common people to be free from their sins when they come to church, she said, motioning for Naruto to come closer. As Naruto came up, she led his hand into the water, although he was confused when Kuroka just stood there looking nervous. It's extremely important that we keep this safe, or else who knows what would happen to all our followers. Of course, all the information about what holy water did was common knowledge, but to Naruto it was all new. He had to admit running his hand through the water felt relaxing and nice. Here, take a drink, Genevieve said, cupping her hands in the water, then raising it to Naruto's face. He didn't really see any harm in cleansing whatever sins he may have committed during his life. After drinking the water, he was surprised to feel a little fuzzy feeling in his stomach, and he felt happier. You know, it's surprising, you're the most pure person I've ever met, and judging by how you're reacting, you've never had a drink of holy water, which is impressive, she said. He then thought back on his past. Was he really that good of a person? He guessed the only sin he really committed was spying on those girls for his sexy jutsu. He would be lying if he said he didn't love the way those girls looked. Lust was a hard sin to avoid. They heard a large explosion. They're here, let's hope the defense was enough to stop them, Genevieve said. 10 minutes later. Naruto was getting anxious. He had heard a lot of explosions and shouting coming from beneath them. The angels were given strict orders to knock out the sacred users for Naruto and Kuroka as a thank you for the warning. Suddenly the large doors to the room opened, and in came 4 strangers dressed in the same clothing. They were all decked out in black, with black fedoras and trench coats. "Damn, those angels were sure piece of work, it took us forever to get around them," said a feminine voice. "It doesn't matter, Sina, even though we managed to avoid confrontation with the angels we still have some company," said a man. "We'll take them out easy, Drix," said another Sina. "My, what a handsome young man, don't you think so, Vori?" said a woman. "I don't swing that way, Issei," responded Vori. The weird thing about these guys was they looked exactly the same. All of them had black hair and brown eyes. The only exception was the girl named Issei who had purple lipstick on. "Unfortunately, you stray exorcists won't be going any farther," said Genevieve, stepping up. Vori scoffed. "Well, it looks like we have the advantage in terms of numbers." Drix shook his head. "Look who we're going against. I don't know about the kid with the silver hair, but we're going against the 6-winged angel and Kuroka, the SS-class stray devil." Naruto turned to Kuroka so fast he might have snapped his neck. Kuroka was a stray devil? To him the fallen angels and the devils felt the same, both had a sinister power coming off them. He had assumed that Kuroka was a fallen angel. Of course, Naruto didn't know that fallen angels didn't have a reincarnation system. Only people who betrayed their masters or killed them were strays, so what horrible thing did Kuroka do to become SS class? Kuroka looked down, no doubt remembering all the stuff that led to her being a stray devil. "Naruto, I'll explain later, just let's get this done first," Kuroka said without the usual naya. It's not like he had much of a choice, so he pushed all the questions into the back of his mind and focused on the fight. "Let's get this over with," said Vori, grinning before a necklace on his neck started to glow a dark black. Dark brown gloves suddenly appeared onto Drix's hands as he cracked his knuckles. A corresponding white necklace appeared on Sina's neck. Finally, blue-like gem appeared on Iz's head. "Let's see what you can do against Tempest Blast, Naruto-kun," giving him a teasing smile before the gem glowed blue and a huge storm cloud appeared above all of them. Suddenly a lightning strike came from the cloud and all of them were forced to dodge out of the way. The strike split the floor and left a huge gaping hole. "Don't get caught up by vine entrapment," said Drix before slamming his hands into the floor. Suddenly a huge amount of vines and branches shot out in all directions from the ceiling and floor heading towards them. Genevieve flew up and avoided the vines while Kuroka and Naruto were forced to dodge out of the way by weaving through the vines. Naruto jumped back and ran through Seal's fire style, pulse blast jutsu, he said before shooting a fireball the size of a basketball at the vines. Once the attack made contact, it exploded in a huge fiery eruption and disintegrated the vines. "Interesting, but your fire makes light. Eternal ablaze," said Sina before raising her hand before a huge light blast of light erupted from it. "What the fuck? Man, that guys were the problem." Once again Naruto and Kuroka were forced to dodge while Genevieve deflected the Hug's attack with a shield made of light. "You can deal with light, but what about Bringer of Darkness?" Vori said before raising his own hand. Suddenly a bunch of shadows due to the lighting of the room came to life and darted towards them. They were forced to hop all over the place as the shadows unmercifully attacked them. Damn, these guys had some pretty cool powers. This shadow one in particular reminded him of the Nara clan abilities. He suddenly realized something. He grinned as dodged another shadow that impaled the floor. "Fire style, Hellfire Clap Jutsu," he said, clapping his hands loudly. Suddenly a huge ring of fire surrounded all of them, lighting up the entire room. The shadows suddenly disappeared, confusing Vori. "Flames can't stop my shadows," he screamed. "No, but if the whole room is lit up like this, you have no shadows to work with," Naruto said, remembering the flaw in the Naruto's technique. In a bright flash of yellow, Naruto appeared behind Vori, and then sent him flying back into Kuroka with a hard kick. Kuroka turned down her senjutsu a little bit before stabbing her hand into his stomach. He coughed out some blood before slumping to the floor. "Damn, that was kind of easy," Naruto said. "Don't get confident, he was the weakest," said Sina before throwing multiple balls of light at them. Naruto dodged around trying to knock her out quickly. Before he could strike, Drix came in front of him and blocked his punch. Naruto stepped aside as the big man tried to nail him in the face. Naruto jumped backward, avoiding a strike that was aimed at him, and shattered the floor. Impressive strength for someone without chakra, Naruto thought before dashing towards Drix and trying to kick him in the side. He took the hit with no effect, and gave Naruto a nasty grin. "Maybe I should start trying now," Naruto thought before jumping up and delivering a hard kick to his head. Drix went tumbling back before correcting himself and re-engaging Naruto. Kuroka and Issei. "How I wish I had such a man with me," she said, watching Drix get punched into a wall by Naruto. "Lay off, slut Naya," Kuroka said. "Oh, did the cat already claim him? I might have to take him from you. He would look good chained to my bedside," Issei said, licking her lips. "So she was that kind of girl." "Yeah, right, bitch, I'd like to see you try," Kuroka said before she dashed toward her. She was the only one to say sexual stuff about Naruto. Issei raised both her hands to the sky before multiple lightning strikes went off, all aiming for Kuroka. Kuroka dodged them all before with her incredible speed and agility. She came up on Issei, punched her in the face hard. Kuroka was surprised to see a cloud appear in her face before getting smacked to the side and skidding back. She recovered quickly before meeting Issei again and throwing a punch at the midsection. Issei blocked and brought a foot up to kick Kuroka's head. Kuroka managed to grab her foot before twisting and throwing her into the glass. Issei crashed through the glass and let out a small stream of water. Kuroka saw Issei step out of the glass without a scratch on her big mistake. Issei said before electrocuting the water beneath her. Kuroka was zapped quite harshly by the water that was touching her feet. She looked up only to get hit on the head. It took her a while to regain her bearings before she stood up and started to tap purple symbols in the air, making sure to lower the dosage as to not kill Issei. A purple mist descended upon them. Issei started to cough and hack before falling to the ground and disappearing like one of Naruto's shadow clones. Issei was above her on a cloud, laughing. "That's some mist you got there. I want to step it up though," she said before her whole body was surrounded by electricity. Damn, this was gonna be hard. Sina and Genevieve. Genevieve was forced to block another beam on concentrated light as it came her way. "Let's see who's better at using light," said Sina before steam of light was sent Genevieve's way. She dodged around it and made a huge spear made of light and chucked it at Sina. She made a wall of light in order to block the strike, and it worked as the light spear disappeared. The wall was then sent Genevieve's way but was cut in half by a huge sword made of light. Genevieve ran towards Sina with the sword in hand and started to strike at her. The sword was blocked one time after another, as wall of light came up to deflect them. Genevieve screamed before she slammed the sword with all her might down on Sina and shattering the wall of light. Sina was blown back as the wall shattered and managed to erect a dome of light in time to block Genevieve's strike. Genevieve repeatedly slammed her huge sword into the dome as it cracked a little with every single hit. Sina was having a hard time putting up resistance at Genevieve's strength. Finally the dome broke and Sina had to roll out of the way, avoid a sword strike that almost impaled her. She looked up only to get hit by a huge two-sided hammer. She went flying back into the wall and was implanted there several meters above the ground. As she was about to fall down, Genevieve threw two spears of light ripping into her clothing and keeping her pinned to the wall. She flew up to where the exorcist was hanging and said, "The Lord will have justice," before slamming her hammer into the woman's head, knocking her out cold. Naruto and Drix. Drix was looking beat up as Naruto kicked him onto the floor once again. The man got up shakily as he flexed his fingers. "You're not going to win," he shouted before slamming his hands together. Suddenly he was covered in wood-like casing with yellow glowing eyes. Body armor, Naruto thought before he tried to block a punch thrown but was surprised to see it packed quite an amount of force. Naruto skidded back and increased his strength a little to overpower Drix again. He landed a devastating uppercut to Drix. Drix went flying up and was kicked, aging while in the air. He went crashing down into the ground, creating a huge crater on impact. He tried to stand up and managed to do so before he saw a yellow flash and a huge blue ball getting slammed into his entire body. "Rasengan," Naruto said, finishing his attack. Drix went flying through the air and his armor shattered. He fell to the ground, knocked out. Kuroka and Issei. Naruto and Genevieve made it onto the scene to see Kuroka barely dodging a lightning bolt. "Oh? You guys managed to defeat Sina and Drix, huh? No matter, I'll take care of you once and for all," she screams to the sky before they heard a loud boom of thunder go off. Suddenly a huge amount of lighting started coming from the clouds above, zapping in all directions, creating multiple holes in the ground. Naruto and Kuroka managed to get under the protection of Naruto's wooden dome, but Genevieve was flying through the storm trying to dodge all the strikes. "Ah!" she yelled as a lightning stoke hit her, and she fell to the ground, like a duck shot out of the sky. Genevieve was laying on the ground, blood coming out of her side and mouth, as her wings tried to flap behind her. "Looks like we're having some bird for dinner," Issei said before charging up a large amount of electricity in her hands and releasing a stream of lighting towards Genevieve. Just as the lighting was about to make contact, Naruto appeared and started going through signs. "Wind style, Violent Wind Palm," he said before sticking his plan toward the lighting strike and firing a concentrated gust of wind at the strike. He was surprised to see the wind split in half and move right out of the way of the lighting strike. His eyes widened as the lighting strike came closer. What the hell happened? Why did his attack split like that? Damn, what was he supposed to do? He could teleport to one of his Hiraishin kunais, but he would leave Genevieve behind. He sighed, there no way he would leave her behind. He would do the right thing. He hardened his eyes as he turned around and quickly threw Genevieve out of the way before the strike descended upon him. "Naruto!" Both Kuroka and Genevieve screamed as they watched Naruto get burned to crisp. All that was left was a pile of ash. How disappointing, he was so cute too. 2 Tempest Blast can control wind and water too. It wouldn't be much of a storm if you didn't have those, would it? Did you see the look on his face as his attack split in half? she laughed at them. Kuroka was somewhere between angry and disbelief. Sure, she only knew Naruto for like a couple days, but they already did so much stuff together. It was so much fun working together with him in defeating those fallen angels. In fact, she had never had this much fun ever. His hyper and fun attitude made everything interesting. She could never mess around with any of the fallen angels back at Grigori like she did with Naruto. He even did some sweet things for her. She didn't really get that attached to him during the short time they spent together, but she had known he was a great person. Heck, even Genevieve said he was the purest person she had met. In the end, he died good too, saving an angel for the cost of his own life. He wasn't exactly her mate like she wanted him to be, but she was glad to call him a friend. The least she could do was make sure his sacrifice wasn't in vain. Kuroka decided it was time to destroy her, sacred gear be damned. She raised her hand and the effect was immediate. Issei went crashing into the ground due to the huge amount of force on her. It felt like she was getting crushed by an elephant. Blood started to pool out of her mouth as her organs started to compress and get squished. It was agonizing,